Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
Put the children to bed. It's time for Dan and Aldo to bare their souls.
I love the Chicago Bears more than I do masturbating, and that is a lot.
Then, with 3 seconds left, Bob Avellini throws a 30-something yard touchdown pass to Greg Latta, and the Bears win, and I literally shit my pants. I swear to God, I literally did.
Eric Kramer, for me, I love the guy. He's a tragic figure. I mean, he embodies all that is.
If they don't run the ball here, I'm going to vomit. I swear to God.
Look, I don't mean any disrespect. He just didn't play that well. Not for a guy of his caliber.
You know, they won, but I'm going to be miserable all week because they stunk.
I don't really have any recollection of that at all, but I guess perhaps I blacked it all out.
So, Dan, tape is the ultimate tool for scouts and for coaches to evaluate players, to detect plays and so forth. And they spend hours looking at tape, right? Why do they so often get shit wrong?
Ladies and gentlemen, Dan and Aldo.
Why are you there?
I'm here. It's good to have you back, Mr. Gandia.
Oh, thank you very much. Let me get rid of this music because it's feedbacking a little. Yeah, it's great to be back, Dan. I've missed you very, very much. How you been?
I don't know if it's me or it's our connection. It kind of sounds like you're underwater, though.
Really?
It just sounds like you're far away. Like you've been gone so long that even though you're back, you're still gone.
I do have a different setup.
Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, let me see if
It looks like you're not in the basement either. Where the fuck are you?
I'm in my kitchen.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I was going to say normally you're downstairs.
Yeah, exactly. Let me take these AirPods off and maybe that'll. Do I sound better now?
It sounds like you're not. I don't know, like you're too far away from the mic or something.
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Testing
Maybe
one.
it's me. Does anybody else feel this way in the chat room?
Tooch, do I sound funny to you? Nope. Where are you, Tooch? You're muted.
I can't hear Tooch now.
He's muted. That's why.
It sounds like birds or bugs. Or
Well, I hear that too, but it sounds like he's too far away from the mic to me.
How's this? Testing 1 2 1
yeah,
2 1 2 1
good.
2. Is that better?
Yeah, was that like the fridge or something, or a fan or air
No, I
conditioner?
had the patio door open, and we got a bunch of cicadas on this fucking tree.
That was it.
They're ruining my summer.
For Dan, it was underwater cicadas.
So you don't think he sounds too far away from the mic?
Tooch is giving me a thumbs up.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just go. It's just me then. We had a big day, right? Lots of Bears info heading into the summer camp and the orange uniforms and the Jaguars. Where do you want to start?
I want to start by staying on the same topic we were about how much I missed you, Dan. But I did get a peek at the 2 shows that I missed, and it seemed like you guys were having a ton of fun. I read some of the comments in the chat area, and everyone seemed really pleased with the guests you had, the conversation, the Bears talk, and the tomfoolery and stuff. So congratulations to you and Tooch and Jordan and Sanjin. Who else was on while I was away?
Aaron.
My man Aaron Mikulski. And good job, guys. Just wanted to give you a shout out and want to let people know that Chris Watts of the Barfly Tailgate show will be joining us a little later. And of course, the Tooch will join us in about an hour or so. Dan, how's been your sex life, your personal life? What's been going on?
I've just been real busy. I went to a Rob Zombie concert on Sunday just because, and I'm battling Hertz now, which is strange because I've always rented from there. Like I've got so many, I got a history of the last couple of years of just, getting car, but the main lady that deals with me is on vacation this week. So I got an email on Monday and they charged me $100 because it said they had to clean the interior of the car. And I was thinking, well, I know it rained earlier in the day, but I don't think I had any mud on my shoe. And I got all the Gatorade bottles out because it was 100 degrees. So, I wanted to drink a ton of Gatorade.
Right.
And like, what the fuck is this fee for? And I've called them 3 times and left a voicemail and they haven't gotten back in touch with me.
Yeah, that happens to you all the time. Excuse me. That happens to you all the time when you have a complaint with a company. They don't call you back.
Well, you figure that they could have called me and said, look, if you don't come vacuum out this fucking car, we're going to charge you $100. I would have gone and vacuumed out the fucking car. It's like, I can't imagine what the fee is for. I'm bewildered by it. It's driving me crazy. I've been obsessing over it because I can't get a hold of anyone.
Cliff says they should always take pictures when you rent a car. It pays off if there's trouble. It's a good idea.
I returned it at 3:00 in the morning, though. It was just so fucking dark. It may have been 3:30 because, I was stuck in the parking lot about 45 minutes without being able to move.
Oof.
Yeah, it was horrible. I don't know what the fuck was going on. The police were just doing a terrible job of directing traffic.
Was Rob Zombie good?
Yeah, it's like my 10th time seeing him. I just took him because my cousin had never seen him before. So it was okay,
Does he do the Howard Stern music from the movie Private Parts?
I know the song you're talking about, the American Nightmare. No, he does not perform that.
Interesting. I guess because Howard did some of the sound for that, or I don't know why. But anyways, Rob Zombie is also a prominent filmmaker of horror movies. He really stretches the boundaries. Have you seen any of his movies?
Yeah, I like The Devil's Rejects. The others I'm lukewarm to. Mm-hmm. I saw he's rebooted. It's going to be a movie, though, The Munsters. Mm-hmm. If you know the old show. His movie's going to be PG, though, and it's on Netflix. It just, I don't know. Of course, he's got his wife in there. He always throws his wife on you. I feel like his movies aren't very good.
Hey, Dan, lower your gain a little bit. We just got Travis Dunaway saying that sounds like you might be too close to the mic or just over-modulating a little.
How about now? Check. I pulled the pot down.
Oh, you sound so sexy. Speaking of sexy, what's going on with the sex life?
Oh, man, I've just been at work. I haven't really had time to do any of the filthy things, So
I made up for it, Dan.
On vacation. Well, you had the 2 weeks off. I would imagine you got some of that out of your system.
Yes, I did.
Good for you.
All right, let's talk Chicago Bears because we have so much to get to. And Dan, I got to ask you, did you hear the press conference today from Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus and then some of the other players talked after?
I didn't get to watch it live, but again, I read through Twitter updates of everyone who was basically telling me what was being said.
Okay, so did anyone on Twitter sound an alarm about Ryan Poles? Because frankly, I thought he was at a fucking funeral today.
No, I didn't hear anything bad about his tone. So please extrapolate off that thought.
Well, I'm going to play some sound and maybe you can see and hear for yourself. But I was really, frankly, amazed that on the opening day of training camp, thank you, Retro. Thank you. I got an announcement about Retro that I can't forget to mention later. But back to the topic of Poles, I just thought that he sounded like he had been scolded by the McCaskies about what has transpired over the last few weeks with arrests. And I don't know what the fuck was going on. I'm only guessing, but I just found him to be lackluster in his presentation. And out of a general manager, I want a level of confidence. And you may not be confident that you're going to make it to the playoffs this year, but a level of confidence about what you're doing. And he has shown that in the past. But I just think that today he sounded like, what the fuck, I don't know. So I'll play some sound to see if I can convince you of my point of view. Not that you need any convincing, but I was just shocked by that. Do you feel, I don't want to make too big of a deal out of this. This is not going to impact the season, I don't think. But do you feel that it's necessary for a general manager when he's meeting with the media to display a certain level of confidence and positivity about what he is creating?
I could see the argument for that, but would you rather have honesty or a facade? Maybe he's beat down
like
from.
He was giving us anything honest. He was like, let me play this about Roquan Smith and listen to his speech pattern. And I apologize for interrupting you, but
No, I was going to say, what if he's beat down from getting Brisker signed? You're just tired, you know?
Yeah, it could be, but you got to turn it on. You know, Dan, how many times have you been behind your radio mic at the radio station?
Oh, that's true. Whenever somebody's dying or something, you still got to do your show.
Exactly. And, you know, the audience doesn't give a shit what's going on in your personal life. And so this was just, to me, a great opportunity for him to take the fan base, which is already fired up about this season. We're dying for football. We're talking about fucking football every day. This was a good opportunity for him to further that feeling with the fans. And those difficult questions that he was asked about player arrest, about Roquan potentially holding out, about Robert Quinn potentially wanting to be traded, all of those difficult questions, he could have answered those in a much more positive manner and moved on to the subjects that he really wanted to herald. Listen to him talking about Roquan Smith when he was asked about Roquan's potential hold.
Right now, you know, we're going through the check-in process. That's by noon, and we'll kind of take it one step at a time with that.
What has Roquan communicated to you in regards to his intentions for this camp and what exactly is on his mind?
I'm just, I'm not going to get into just that situation at this time.
Are you going to talk about it if he's not practicing?
Am I going to talk about if he's not practicing?
Like if he, as a hold-in, will you discuss it then? I mean.
Yeah, I don't know what his intentions are. I know he checked in, and we're going to take it from there and gather information and take it one step at a time. That's all I can do.
As somebody who participated in every single OTA, did you have an appreciation for that from him, and were you surprised?
Of everybody to show up and get better and put the time in. So, yeah.
He does seem a little evasive, and it's like he just does not want to talk about this at all. But I mean, this is the gig you signed up for, bro. I mean, you got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Even if you can't disclose what he's asking for and what you're offering or what the McCaskies are offering, I get that, but you can't. Come on, man. It's you haven't even started week 1 yet.
Yep.
You can't be this beat down. I agree with you. The tone was a little bit. Like he would have been John Fox's fucking wet dream of a GM there.
That's right.
John Fox would be like, what a great press conference. What a great press. You really want it there.
I love that. That's exactly right. You know, and I understand that some people are saying, hey, he's just kind of a serious guy. But here's my point about this. And I've said this throughout the years. I really do think that the communications departments for these NFL football teams, and let's just stay with the Chicago Bears, they need to do a better job of coaching up their coaches and general managers before they meet the media. These are the questions that are going to be asked. We've gone through media training where you now know to turn things to a positive, to show some energy. Don't seem like you're worried. Don't seem like you're blah, blah, blah. He's getting advice from a sports psychologist. He admitted today that he visits a sports psychologist once a month. Why isn't he meeting with a communications consultant once a month too? So that way he can have more effective communications with the media, who then communicate that to the fans. We are owed that as a fan base. We are owed good communication because there aren't enough fucking games for our interest level. We wish, all of us who love the game of pro football would love to have a 162 game season like a Major League Baseball, but we know it's not humanly possible because of the nature of the game, the collision sport that it is. So when they're not playing football, give us something juicy, give us something of interest, give us something to hold on to. So because if not, then we're going to go fucking watch that boring ass baseball game that's on right now.
Yeah, I understand your rant and I appreciate it. And I think maybe I'm just trying to play devil's advocate now because I don't have a good response. Perhaps Paul's is just beaten down because he knows the offseason is kind of blown. You know, you had the problem with the acquisition, then you got multiple arrests, and he's got to know that, like, and then Robert Quinn and then Brisker, and then now Roquan. It's not been smooth this offseason at all. And maybe he was just dreading talk and being held accountable for it.
That's exactly the feeling that I got from his press conference, Dan. That's exactly.
Yeah, just this. Oh God, now I got to answer questions.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like you're being arraigned. Like he knew he was being charged with the crime, but today he had to see the judge.
Mm-hmm. And but the media, they asked good questions. Some of them you could say were tough, but they really press them on some things, like the Soup Campbell firing. The question was posed in a good way, but he only answered a portion of that. He did not answer the part of the question that asked, why the hell did you fucking fire him when he's on vacation?
I read that on Twitter. Someone had, put a partial quote. It was like he hired a replacement that would be best able to handle mental problems with the players.
Yeah, I think I got the soundbite here. He's basically wants somebody with experience and handle mental stress, as opposed to somebody like the previous guy who did not have that kind of experience.
Can't you have both?
Great question. Great question. And I was listening to Dan Bernstein on The Score today, and he was saying this is because of the arrests. The Soup Campbell should have talked to 2 of the 3 players who were arrested for gun charges here in the state of Illinois. He should have talked to them and said, okay, do you own a gun? Do you take it out in public? All right, let's make sure we take you through the proper paperwork in the state of Illinois so you can have your gun. This is according to Dan Bernstein. This was his speculation. But let's listen to Ryan Post talk about the Soup Campbell firing.
Yeah, so with that, I wanted to reshape our player development group. The one thing I've noticed, and I knew this coming in, is just the pressures that this game puts on you. There's a mental piece to this that's absolutely critical. And I wanted someone that could come in and be educated through their education, through school, on how to work with players to get their mindset the right way. How do you clear your mind? How do you it helps resilience too, but how do you go to the next step, kind of push away a bad game, a bad practice, or things that are wearing on you mentally? How can you overcome that? And I just wanted to go a different direction on the support that we're giving our players in that aspect of it.
Okay, makes sense, right? But
I guess.
Why did you fire the guy on his vacation, and why couldn't you have both guys employed? If it sounded weird. The other thing is I was just watching this. Take a look at.
So with that, I wanted to reshape.
Take a look at Eberflus here. Eberflus is like, I don't know if you can see this, Dan.
I can.
Okay, Eberflus is like, I'm going to do my homework over here. I'm going to be like, I'm not in the room. He's talking about Soup Campbell.
Or maybe he's looking at his paperwork saying, who's Soup Campbell again?
That's right.
Who did we fire? I didn't fire anybody.
Yeah, Eberflus is like, I had nothing to do with that.
He's like, thank God they didn't ask me this shit.
That's hilarious. So I don't know, man. I want Ryan Post to succeed more than I want to grow more hair. I'm losing my fucking hair, but I don't give a shit about that. I want fucking Ryan Post to succeed, and I just felt like he had a big miss today, and he needed a PR victory because of the bad luck that he has had over the first few months of his GM-ship. And, I have another rant in me. I should have saved it for later in the show, but I got to get this off my chest now. While I was on vacation, the David Moore news broke, gun charges, blah, 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 or something to that effect, blew that. All of a sudden, people were criticizing Ryan Poles. And here I am going to do a 180 now, and I'm going to fucking defend him. Because if you want to complain about the fact that some of these guys have had off-season problems and that you wonder if they have the quality of character to be on the team, if you want to blame anyone for that, it's not Ryan Poles, it's Ryan Pace. He's the guy that left a bowl of shit for Ryan Poles to contend with. And Ryan Poles is of the philosophy, one that I admire, is break it all down and start from the foundation up. He's doing it the right way. And unfortunately, with that comes, you got to fucking scrape the bottom of the barrel. And some of these guys on the roster are the bottom of the barrel, not because of their talent, but sometimes because of their behavior issues, sometimes because of injury problems, sometimes because of whatever fucking reason. These guys are the bottom of the barrel guys. And so what happens then is you are going to potentially run into problems. And with Poles, it's just happened more than you ordinarily would see with a new GM. But it is not Poles' problem. It is what Ryan Pace left him. And so if you want to point the fingers at someone, if you want to vent like I'm venting now, fucking vent at Ryan Pace. He's the fucking culprit in all this. That's it. I'm done with ranting today.
Well, at least we got us another tackle and a right guard.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And those guys will probably be starting, which is not saying a whole lot, I guess, but it is saying that at least that we improved the team.
I'm sorry, I'm eating an apple right now at the same time. But excuse me for that. The tackle, is he on the left or the right side?
Riley Reiff has played both. I think he finished the season with the Bengals at right tackle before his ankle injury forced him to out for the rest of the season. And I think after week 12. But when he was with the Lions, and I'm sure Don Burr is going to jump in here and
tell us he sucked, right?
Exactly.
Didn't he play for Minnesota at 1.2?
Yes, exactly. So he played, I want to say 5-6 seasons with the Lions. He had some good seasons. He had some bad seasons. And then when his contract was up, they said, yeah, we're going to try somebody else. The Vikings then signed him for a season. I think he had some injury issues with the Vikings and then ended up with the Cincinnati Bengals. I believe he's 30 years old. He's got to still have some good football in him. And at the very least, he should inspire better play from the guys who are competing for those tackle jobs.
So who's out then?
Well, that's the big $64,000 question. Is Tevin Jenkins going to be riding the bench this year? Could that potentially happen?
And Borum?
Well, I think Borum is going to be a starter. I really do. I think
maybe the rookies on the left side and the new guys on the right.
I think the line is going to look like Riley Reiff at left tackle, at left guard, Cody Whitehair at center, Lucas Patrick at right guard, Michael Schofield III from Orland Park here in Illinois. And then at right tackle, it'll be drum roll, Larry Borum.
That sounds a lot better than last season on paper. And then maybe you got some depth with, like you said, Jenkins is on the bench, but maybe he works his way into being the top guy that comes off the bench, sort of the Alex Bars guy that can maybe play left or right. And maybe he's the on either side, he's the backup tackle is what I'm saying. But on paper, it seems the fact that they got another right guard to me was monumental, because I think that was the elephant in the room was like, dude, I understand why James Daniels is gone. Don't get me wrong. I do. But you didn't sign his replacement. So that's kind of the same argument that you were making a couple seasons ago. Like, all right, if you want to get rid of Charles Leno, then give us somebody to fucking start 96 straight games or whatever that Leno did in his spot. And ironically, we're still trying to replace him, it seems,
Yep. You know, I don't want to get on my another one of my rants regarding Leno, but I do kind of miss the guy. The guy started every fucking game he was here, with the exception of one, I want to say. And while his play was not sterling by any means, you know, you got to credit somebody who shows up to play every game and scores in the middle of the bunch of left tackles in the NFL. He was not in that bottom tier of left tackles. As poorly as he looked on some plays, he was an average left tackle, and that's great value for a guy you picked in the 7th round.
Absolutely. I'll give you that.
So what about the wide receiver from the New England Patriots, N'Keal Harry? He was a first-round pick, I think like the 27th or 28th pick of the draft. Unfortunately for him, under Bill Belichick, he could never get it going. He only had like about 150 yards passing. Some of the tape on him looks good, and then some of it looks kind of scary. He alligator arms a lot of plays. What are your thoughts on Harry? Is this just somebody to add more competition, or do you have any expectations that he could be a significant contributor?
I thought we were into this on I think 2 weeks ago. I had a non-malicious back and forth with Jordan, right? He's the gentleman out in California. Is his name Jordan?
Yes.
Yeah, he was saying that he thought that the 7th round pick was like too much to give up for this guy. And I just thought, you know, you could argue whether or not he should have been a 1st round pick, but the fact he was. So to take a flyer on a guy that was drafted in the 1st round, in a worst case scenario, you cut him and you lost the 7th round pick. To me, that's a good, I mean, you know, trial and error. You know, you got to take a swing. You got to get in the batter's box. And I thought that was a good trade. Expectations, I don't know, because I really didn't see him play. But again, I'm okay with them at least trying. And now we have 2 guys, he and St. Brown, that are both, you know, coming here in theory to play their asses off, because they both, you would think, have a chip on their shoulder to say, I'm good, but I didn't get a fair shot in the other places.
Yeah.
So if you can't get the DK Metcalf, the big trade that's going to cost you a 1st round pick, if not a 1st and a 2nd or something, then maybe that's what you want, the guy that can exceed your expectations with his emotions and his effort. I even read an article that they may make him a tight end. Did you see that?
Yeah, I've seen that. He's got that big body. He could probably make that shift. I wouldn't say in a year's time, though. You'd have to give him a taste of it. You know, there's so much for a tight end to learn. It's about all the different blocking schemes, and then it's also about being a good wide receiver, being able to run the route tree. So it's a very complicated position. You know, just ask what's his name? What was the Tim Tebow?
Oh God! No pun intended.
God, that was some of the funniest tape I ever saw in practice, where he was running away from blocking people. He's like, I don't want to have contact with that guy. Anyway,
I don't want to go on a rant on Tebow, but I just want to say once more, there are a lot of religious players in the league. But this guy, just because he's religious, he's kind of like a MAGA guy with them. Like, they won't criticize him and they fucking like worship him. And even when he's awful, they pretend that like, oh man, Tim Tebow would have taken the Bears to a Super Bowl if he won a playoff game against Pittsburgh. They act like this guy's a Hall of Famer, but he doesn't get a chance to play because he loves God. Get the fuck out of here.
Isn't there something on social media? A former teammate of him said that that's all a facade.
Yeah. There was a guy from the Broncos that said that he only kneels when there's a camera around to get attention for. I forget who said that. Yeah. And I'm still eating my apple. I'm sorry about that. But
that's okay.
I didn't get ready to go on air until 2 minutes before. But yeah, he was accused of being disingenuous with the religious thing and used it as a means of gaining that credit.
Yeah. Well, enough about Tebow. Gosh, I could talk all day about him just because I dislike him so much.
He's tried baseball, the NFL, tight end, quarterback. Come on, man. And don't forget, he allegedly broke up Lindsey Vaughn's marriage.
Because she was...
Because fucking him on the side, so the dude was...
He was having sex with her husband. Is that why?
No, not the husband, Lindsay.
Oh, okay.
But the husband found out allegedly. So again, I just thought, well, that's hypocritical, right? He's all about, living a certain kind of life. I don't think breaking up marriages is a part of that, but okay.
Yeah. By the way, Retro is in the chat. So let me get this out of the way before I forget, because stuff is piling up for us to talk about today. Retro, who writes here about Tim Tebow won a playoff game, and the Bears would love that right now. Absolutely, Retro. But I want to introduce Retro to everybody. He's going to be a guest on this show in the near future. But Retro is going to be running our Facebook page now. And so those of you who like to hang out on Facebook, visit the Barroom Network. Retro is going to be in charge of all the editorial content. He'll also engage people and let people know about our schedule. And he's going to make that page his own. It's a page that, frankly, I've neglected to run for the last couple of years. It's just automatically feeding stuff from our programming department. But now Retro is going to give that page a personality. I've talked to him 3 or 4 times now. He's got a great personality. He's a Chicago Bears diehard from New Jersey. You'll get to learn more about him, but Retro is a guy. He volunteered for the job, and so I'm very grateful to him.
Does he pronounce it Jersey or Joycey?
He, based on what I heard him say, I would say Jersey. He's not a Joycey type of Jerseyite.
I had a teacher in middle school that said she was from New Jersey. New Jersey.
Oh, look at this. Brad Biggs has just come on and wrote that Riley Reiff's contract has $3 million base salary, and he will receive another $4.5 million if he is on the field for 10% of the snaps. And if the team improves in any of 6 offensive categories.
Did you say 10% of the snaps?
If you're correct, 10% of the offensive snaps.
Well, it means he could be a reserve and get 10. But go ahead. Sorry.
That's all right. You're absolutely right. He could be a reserve and get that extra 4.5. And also the team must improve in any of 6 offensive categories. And Brad does not know what the categories are.
Number 1, don't get our quarterback killed. Less sacks, for fuck's sake. Less sacks.
Yeah. Start there and just repeat that one for the next 5 categories. And then Biggs finishes the tweet by saying another $2.5 million is tied to playing time, and there is a $2 million playoff bonus. So a very friendly deal, I think, for the Bears.
How many years did he sign for?
It's just a 1-year deal.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So basically, he's Andy Dalton then. Andy Dalton got 1 year, $10 million. That's about what he could get, right? With all these other incentives.
It's funny that you say that, because it ran through my mind that maybe he's going to get injured and one of these other guys is going to get a shot at left tackle, and that person will be the Lou Gehrig. Never lose that left tackle position. But yeah, Riley Reiff. I mean, here's a guy who, if he was really good, he would have already been on a team. And for him to have to sign a contract like that, where it's a $3 million base salary, but he should be on for 10% of the offensive snaps. So it's about a $7.5 million contract minimum that he'll get. For him to sign a contract like that just says that he was not much in demand. I think the Bears are lucky to get him just because we've got so many unproven people in the offensive line. But that's the reality of the situation, is you got to go down to that bottom of the barrel again and find these guys who have not signed contracts for whatever reason.
Well, at least he's kind of betting on himself, though.
Which is good.
He's got something to show. So, again, all the guys they've signed so far are like, okay, you can go get your money. Just show us what you got.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Retro says that New Jersey is a myth. No true person from New Jersey says Jersey, including my man, Jim McMahon from the hometown of Jersey City, New Jersey. But of course,
Arlene Wertzler said New Jersey.
Who's that?
That was my school teacher in 7th or 8th grade. Charlene said Jersey. And she got cancer at one point, like in the last decade, and just looked awful. I thought she was going to die, but it's made a full recovery. So great lady.
Retro responds, well, that serves her well, given that she was mispronouncing the name. I'm making that up. Retro.
She survived, though. I'm very happy for her.
Good. God bless her. Dan, you still not a believer?
In God?
Yes.
I don't like to say I don't like to say there is no God, but I mean, if you had to make me put my chips on one side or the other, I would say there's none. But who am I to tell people that they're wrong?
I just asked because if the Bears make it to the playoffs this season, you will start believing in God.
I've said the whole time they could make it.
You are right.
I would just be telling everybody, see, come over here. I told you there is no God, and they were going to make the playoffs. So maybe people will stop believing and join me. I'm kidding. Everybody could be right. I could be wrong. I don't like to be put in a box where I have to tell you yes or no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've had a very complicated relationship with God, but we'll save that for another show. We got so much more football here to talk about. This is Flus talking about Reiff Riley.
Riley Ridley. That's a guy we never let play. I don't know.
But apparently he hasn't stuck with another team, so maybe he couldn't play. Another great draft pick. So anyway, this is Flus on Riley and Mark Schofield.
What's great about signing those two guys is they have flex. During their career, they've played left, they've played right, they've played inside. So for us, it's great by Ryan and bringing those two guys in here. The experience and the flexibility those guys have it's just outstanding. So that enables us to do a lot of different things. We're in a much better spot with those two guys on our roster than we were 24 hours ago. So we're excited about that.
And then Lucas Patrick was asked about how long is it going to take for this offensive line to gel, given you got so many new faces?
I think that's like a hot topic with O-line, but, you put enough work in and meetings and practice that, you could say there's never enough time or there's always too much time. So not really much of an answer for you, but I know the two guys that we just signed are coming in. I mean, they're veterans, and, it's always good to have guys like that and the other veterans we have in the room. And, with Cody and Sam has played a lot of ball and kind of lean on those guys and for the young guys to figure things out and talk to each other that way.
So, I don't know. This offensive line is the biggest question mark on this team, and
I wonder why they wouldn't bring these guys in sooner.
Yeah, I mean that's perhaps because they could not agree on the money. As soon as a veteran like Reiff, he's going to look at, okay, when do people report? I don't want to have anything to do with the off season and OTAs and stuff. I'm a veteran. I can get acclimated quickly. And so maybe that he set that as a deadline for himself.
Understood.
Maybe too. So, a lot of these guys just don't want to practice. And with the CBA rules, it's getting easier and easier for them to avoid that stuff. What do you think about Roquan Smith potentially being a hold in? He's going to be.
I like the fact that he's there. At least he's showing that he wants to be a part of the team. I mean, like we said before we went on air, he modeled the new orange helmet, which I like, and for some reason a lot of people don't like. Yeah, but I thought it looked good to go with the orange jersey, which I also like. So if but then again, maybe he modeled that a month or two ago, and it just got released the other day. But anyway, it seems like he's all in, and the fact that he's there is saying like, "Hey guys, I am here. I want to be a part of this thing, and mentally, I can still watch film and do all these other things, but just not the physical aspect until you get the deal done. It's better than not being there."
Totally agree.
So where's Quinn? Did Quinn report?
Quinn is in camp, so we'll see if he practices. But this is Jalen Johnson. He was asked today, what about Roquan? What if he doesn't practice?
Our leader. I mean, y'all all know who Roquan is and what he means to the team. But I mean, at the end of the day, somebody got to fill that gap. It's no different to me as if he was injured or he was missing a few weeks during the game. Somebody got to step up. Somebody has to fill that leadership role. Somebody has to call the defense. Somebody has to do it. I mean, at the end of the day, so I mean, really, it's a early preparation of what could happen during the season. Somebody got to step up.
Jalen, as a teammate, do you kind of pay attention to what's happening for Roquan on the business side, knowing, you could be entering action?
Yeah, that part of it was kind of dull, actually. So I'll cut that out. But yeah, I mean, he's there, and that does speak a lot for he wants to work out a deal. Was it T.J. Watt with the Steelers held in a similar way, and then signed a contract that, a couple of days before the season started? You recall that, Dan?
I don't. Again, I'm surrounded by Pittsburgh fans, but I couldn't give a shit about them. But I know the guy's very good. But I know the salary cap is tight this season, but you can circumvent that by giving him a large signing bonus.
Yeah,
right
got
now.
$20 million in cap, more than $20 million in cap space. So it's not. I don't think it's a question about not having enough money, and particularly with the cap going up next season. And
I know next season is going to be, we're in good shape. But I meant the gridlock of this season, you could give him a large signing bonus to sort of mitigate that affecting the 22 cap, is what I'm saying. Sure. So there's ways of getting that done if they want to get it done. Like before we got on air, we don't have a coach that was here when he was drafted. We don't have a general manager who was here when he was drafted. Well, he was playing a 3-4. So they can't really vouch for him. I mean, they can watch tape, but how he actually gets assimilated into the new scheme with the new coach, and I could see the Bears side of it being a little bit reticent to give him a deal, but I also see his side of it and saying, hey, this is the 5th year of my contract. I'm going to be a free agent. I want to be here. Get it done. I actually see both sides of this. And I think they're both right.
If Ryan Poles got a phone call today and said, hey, we want to send you 2 number 1 draft picks for Roquan Smith, what would you say if you were Poles? 2
number 1 picks?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we gave up for Khalil. And Khalil had all kinds of hype that exceeds anything that Roquan is. I'm not saying Roquan isn't a good player. Don't get me wrong. He's sort of been shafted a little bit in terms of his notoriety based on the fact the Bears haven't been that good. But I don't think anyone's going to give up 2 first-round picks for him. His hype and his reputation don't merit that, in my opinion. What if it was just a first? I don't know if I want to deal him for a first, though. I kind of want to keep him and re-sign him. So a first-round pick, just 1 first, probably not. But if you're going to give me 2, then fuck it. I'm sorry, Roquan. You got to go.
See that door?
It was nice having you, man.
I don't know. I'm surprised that you would say that. I find Roquan to be one of the better sideline to sideline linebackers.
No, I like him. I'm saying, but the notoriety, he hasn't been selected for a Pro Bowl and things like that, which has been bullshit. But that's my point, though. But he doesn't have the hype train behind him like Khalil did, to where people magnify his play or make excuses for him. Versus Roquan, if he does something great, he's kind of in the dark. They sort of don't, because the Bears haven't been that good, they don't really hype him up, is what I'm saying. I feel like he's better than what his reputation is. Like, I could see you telling me, not that neither one of us play Madden anymore, but I could see you telling me, like, damn, on Madden, Roquan's rating's only an 80, or something like that. I could see people, like, not giving him the proper respect. Sure. Not to say that he hasn't earned that respect, but it seems like on a national level, he hasn't received it.
Right. Michael Henneman a few minutes ago wrote $20 million per year for an inside linebacker is dumb. There's a cap. You pay your pass rushers, says Michael. Solid philosophy. The question, though, for me is there's 2 positions that this defensive scheme really needs top players at, and that's the 3-tech defensive lineman, and that is the will linebacker. And if Roquan Smith, who has the capabilities of playing,
he's at Lance Briggs now.
Exactly. So that might not be easy to find somebody like that. Come here, boy. My dog is crying. So I just it's hard. Yeah, it is hard to invest $20 million a year into Roquan Smith, into that linebacker position. But somebody like Jordan perhaps could talk a little bit more eloquently or intelligently about the importance of that will linebacker. And if a guy like Roquan Smith could fit into it, I believe.
Well, look how much money Lance got. You know, I mean, again, he was supposed to walk and then got a 6-year deal after 2006. So, I mean, he's our guy. You drafted number 1 overall, what, like 8th in 2018? Something like that, 7th, 8th. I think it was 8th. Mm-hmm. I mean, we always talk about building through the draft, and we have part of that is to keeping your guys.
Mm-hmm.
And you want a guy that's going to be the quote unquote leader of the defense and a guy that's been here when times have been bad. Mm-hmm. You need that, like a Gary Fensick kind of guy on the 85 Bears that went through the fucking, 4 and 12 seasons and shit. You need someone that's hungry to win and can provide leadership. I know that that's an expensive price, but he's your draft pick, man. Let's get it done.
Yeah, I'm with
you. If he falls off, you can always release him. I mean, it's not like teams don't cut people every week, every season.
Yeah. Well, tell you what, Roquan is going to get signed. He may not participate in any of the practices. Greg Gabriel tweeted this out, so I'm sort of stealing this from him. Greg has a lot of confidence that the Bears are going to close a deal with Roquan and Roquan's agent, which is himself, I guess. And I have to believe that's going to happen too. You just can't let a guy like that walk away unless you want a 5-year rebuild as opposed to a 3-year rebuild.
Fuck the rebuild. We want to win now, and I think the fact that he's there now shows he wants to be here and wants to win too.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we go back to Ryan Poles and crash on him a little more. This is Mark Potash asking Ryan Poles about the issues that he's had with players he acquired.
Did you take that personally? How did that reflect? Do you feel that reflected on you? And as a manager of people, how did you discipline or handle the situations, not only individually but collectively, when you're trying to establish a certain culture?
Yeah, as a manager, it bothered me a lot. Anytime your phone goes off and there's an issue, you got to take responsibility. It's on my watch. So it absolutely bothered me. I had conversations with everyone. I've already addressed the Pringle one. But I had conversations about how I felt about it. We gathered information, and we're taking that through the process and handling it what I think is the right way.
But do you still feel like you've got the right guys?
Yes.
Did those incidents change your opinion on that?
No, I think we have the right guys. I think there was mistakes made, for sure. We had those conversations, and there's a process when that happens through the league, through our team, security, all that stuff. And we'll go through that process and go from there. But yes, it does. As a leader of an organization, when the phone goes off and there's an incident and we're not doing what we're supposed to do, and we know what the standards are of being a Chicago Bear, absolutely bothers me.
I do like that response, Dan. I think he feels a certain amount of guilt, but at the same time, it is the player's responsibility to do what they have to do. They can't be held unaccountable.
Right, and I like the fact that he's saying you're a Chicago Bear, and that is a privilege because you could be cut tomorrow. I mean, that you have to earn your keep. So I think behind the scenes, he probably drilled these dudes you fuck up again, you are gone.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. I'm giving you a second chance. Don't make me look bad, you motherfucker.
Do you think that? Well, I was going to ask, do you think he regrets signing any of these guys? But who the fuck knows, right?
It sounds like he doesn't, though, if you listen to the presser there, the sound drop. I mean, it sounded like he was saying we have the right guys. They just have made mistakes. So I guess he had to weigh, do we cut them or are we better on the field with them versus releasing them? And I guess he's chosen that, hey, maybe they're going to help us win some games this year. And at the end of the day, maybe we won't even recall the video of Pringle talking about how hot it was in the cop car and shit like that, you know?
Dan, so your level of expectation for this season is still at that hopeful stage where you think this team can make a run for a playoff spot?
Yeah, because players have to play, and I'm not trying to use cliches or just double talk. I mean, but at the end of the day, it's Justin Fields that's on the field. It's not, you know, a bad general. It's not Ryan Pace or in this case, Ryan Poles or whatever. It's up to the players. And I think that we've got a good quarterback. Shout out to my man, Sonny, who put over Justin so eloquently last week over and over and over. And I agree with him. And we've got a better coach. There's no doubt in my mind that this guy's better than Matt Nagy. I'm sorry. If people disagree with me, that's fine. It's just my opinion. It's not a fact. But I feel like Eberflus just scratching his arm in the press conference looking at papers is more qualified for this job than Matt Nagy, even when he's not paying attention during the press conference.
We'll be bringing Chris Watts from the Barfly Tailgate show with us in about 20 minutes or so. And, of course, the Tooch will be on board as well. So you brought up Justin Fields. This is one of the reasons why I'm so excited about this season. While Ryan Poles may have had a poor press conference today, Justin Fields hit it out of the fucking park. This is him talking about how he dealt with his poor rookie year. Not that it was poor overall, but he didn't have the level of success he had at Ohio State, that he had at high school, that he's had throughout his playing career. He was asked how he dealt with that.
I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason. So, you know, who knows how I would have taken it if, you know, I would have had a great game every game. You know, maybe I wouldn't have that hunger still. But, I mean, you know, I'm going to work until, you know, like Lucas said, until we get that Super Bowl trophy. So, as long as I'm here, you know, I think everybody in the building knows, you know, I'm going to work. I'm going to do whatever I can to help us win games, to help us, you know, be better each and every day. So, you know, I think just failure pushes me to even go harder. So, you know, I mean, that's really all I got to say until we finally, you know, win that trophy and get that ring.
And this is him talking about, he was asked, does he need to prove himself to the NFL? And I think the motivation behind this question was, you know, Justin Fields is going to lead the league in interceptions thrown, all this negative talk from the national media. This was Justin Fields right after he was asked, does he need to prove himself to the NFL?
People around the league don't quite know what to expect from you this year because of the way last year rolled out. Does that filter into you, like what people's opinions are, where people rank quarterbacks? And even if not, like, what do you think you can show the league this year?
No, that doesn't filter into me at all. And I'm not really worried about showing the league anything. I'm just worried about winning games. So I'm not, you know, trying to prove myself to anybody. I'm not trying to do this and that, you know, take opinions into account. I mean, my job is to, you know, win games and, of course, make the playoffs. So I'm not worried about anything.
Dan, where's your love affair at with Justin Fields right now?
No, I like him a lot. As I've said, I still think what he's saying there is probably not true. There's no way that he sees that, oh, he's going to lead the league and he is going to lead the NFL in interceptions in 2022 and doesn't take that as a fucking just a gesture of disrespect.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's saying the right thing. I don't know how he couldn't be appalled by that, though. Looks like Aldo's got.
Come on, boy.
But I think Justin is going to play well. That's my expectation. I think he'll play so much better just because he's in a real offense with a real coaching staff. Again, it's like the adults are in the room now, not this guy just like, oh, I was great on Madden. I was so fucking great. Let me just try to coach now because I can whip your ass on fucking Xbox Live. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be like a club fighter that, you know, that beats up a bunch of scrubs and then suddenly he's got to fight. Well, they did make a movie about that, didn't they? It was called Rocky, but he actually did beat Apollo. But you know what I'm saying? That's the outlier.
Yes. How many times have you watched that movie and have you like done slow motion on that Rocky Apollo fight?
No, I do. I really do like 1 and 2, though. I mean, I guess I enjoy elements of all of them, but the first two are really solid. It's almost like one film to me. because, you know, I guess they wanted to make it realistic so he couldn't win. And I appreciate that in the first one, but it was a split decision. And then in the second one, they made Apollo look good too, because he's up on points, like so up, but his kids were taunted and all this shit. So he has all this added backstory to explain why he's going for the knockout, yet being up so much on the scoring cards and tired because he's punched his ass out all night long. So again, the first two were really well done, I thought.
Yeah. Well, and Dan, you're sort of wrong about the first one. He did win. The whole thing about the movie is that he survived those 15 rounds with the heavyweight champion of the world.
Which is what he said his goal was when he talked to Adrian.
Exactly. So he
didn't win the title is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I bet you a lot of people watching it at the theater. Of course, I wasn't even alive yet. Like the first movie for me in my lifetime would have been the third one. So I bet you if you really sucked into the movie, you kind of wanted him to win. Like if you didn't know, what do you think? The first time you saw Rocky, did you already know if he was going to draw or if it was
No, I had no idea what the ending was going to reveal. I liked the movie a lot. I thought it was slow in a couple parts. My favorite is Rocky 3. That's the one with Mr. T, right?
Yeah, the only thing I like about that is, as I've brought up on air so many times, is the complacency factor, which we can equate to football. Like Rocky's signing shit and taking photos and endorsements and things like Apollo was doing. So you have that sense of irony where you kind of take your eye off the overall game because you have all this money and shit now. And then you got Clubber running in fucking rugged ass alleys in Chicago where he would get shot if it were 2022. And just, you know, doing like these incredible sit-ups and just, you know, he's working his ass off because he doesn't have any money. He doesn't have anything. And again, it's just that eye of the tiger thing. That was cool about 3, but like the Hulk Hogan and all that shit, I could have done without. Which again was a ripped off of something that really happened, though.
Yeah, that's right.
Who was it? That was an element of something that happened in the late 70s too, where a boxer fought a wrestler. I forget who that was. I saw that was taken from.
It was it was George Foreman.
Oh,
George
wow.
Foreman started doing like circus tricks after he lost to Ali. I think he had another pro fight or two, but then all of a sudden he kind of started acting weird. There was one bout where he fought 3 or 5 different guys, 3 rounds each in one match, and I think one of those was the wrestler, if I remember correctly. He went through a really bizarre stage. Then he went away, found God, and he came back to be one of the greatest heavyweights of all time.
And knocked out Michael Moore.
Yeah, that was a great fight. I'm sure Retro is getting a hard on right now because this is the kind of stuff he likes to talk about, old movies and old sports events. All right, so we're in agreement about Justin Fields. We're in love with him. We want to French kiss him.
I don't know about all that, but yeah.
But this is to me what the season is about. I don't care really. You know, yeah, I care. I want them to win every fucking game to the day I die. But if Justin Fields makes that promise this year, like, holy shit, we fucking got a quarterback, Dan, we fucking got a quarterback. If we get to feel that vibe because of the way he plays this year, I'm going to be happy, whatever the 1-loss record is. It's going to be.
I like I said last week, I am just not willing to say that this season doesn't matter or this season, like, there's no chance of winning. Like, man, if we believe that, then why are we here?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said I know you weren't here last week, but I think, not trying to repeat my own shit, but think about this. If this were 2021, July 26th of 21, I said, Aldo, Cincinnati is going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium to advance to the Super Bowl. And they're going to be within, 2 minutes of winning a championship. You'd be like, the Bengals? I don't know about that, Dan. And like I said before, the Rams, 4-12 in 98, Super Bowl champions in 99. This shit happens. Where a team comes on to, who would have expected the Bengals to be representing the AFC in the Super Bowl this time last year? Honestly.
The thing is, Dan, and I get you. I totally get you. But for me, living in Chicago and following Chicago sports since the late 1960s, the only way we win championships is through trudging along and building a team. And all of a sudden, the season before, you start to get a taste of it. Like when the Bulls lost in Game 7 to the Detroit Pistons, you still got a taste that next year they're going to fucking kick the Pistons' ass, and they did. They won 4 straight, went and beat the Lakers in the best of 7 in Game 5. Right. And the same thing with the Bears. In 1984, the Bears lose that game. It was a second round.
It was the NFC Championship game at San Francisco.
That's right. And so you heard Mike Ditka immediately after that game, and he sounded so fucking confident. He didn't sound like a head coach that just lost a championship game. He sounded like a guy who was saying, watch out for next season. Watch out for next season. And that's been the history of Chicago sports. Any team that's won a title, it's been a long trudge. It took the Cubs 101 years to win a championship since their last.
Well, maybe watch out for this season. That's what I'm telling you. Look, all the losing we've gone through. Why not us? If you really believe that there's no shot, then why are we fans?
Mm-hmm.
We have to believe in, why does Detroit still have fans? Why is Don Burr a Lions fan? He has to think at some point it's his turn. And that's, if you're a real fan, you have to think that this is our year. To me, you have to. You have to feel like there's a chance you're going to, even if you don't want to admit it, there's a chance you're going to come out of nowhere. And even if it's just a wild card win, but something that there's going to be more than the expectation of, 6-11 or 7-10. Like, why are you a fan if there's no chance to win? I'm just never going to admit or be every season. I would be saying the same thing. I admit it. Mm-hmm. But in particular, for the fact we have better coaches and we do have a guy that should be able to play well at the quarterback position, I feel like I don't know why we can't win. Maybe the defense will be so awful. I don't think that that's necessarily going to be true either, but I'm just trying to write a script. Why can't we win? Maybe Fields gets hurt. Maybe the line really sucks. I feel like we have a shot. And no one's going to tell me differently because I'm a fucking meathead fan and I'm here and I fucking care about the team and I'm going to hope and I'm rambling now, but I can't accept that we can't win. I just can't accept it.
I'll tell you what, man, you should be like a motivational speaker.
I don't know if it's motivation. It's just the way I look at it. Like, why would
you're giving me motivation? I'm starting to feel like maybe we
have to have a shot. Like that's why we talk about this fucking team. It's July 26th, but there was no off days other than, you were gone for 2 weeks. I get that, but we've been doing a show every week this entire off season. Mm-hmm. And you've done other shows throughout the entire offseason. Why? Because everyone's passion for the team. Everyone's that passionate because we believe in the team. We believe in the logo. We believe in everything that this team encompasses. So why not that passion for us to win? I don't understand the thought that goes into a person saying, I love the Bears, but fuck it, we're going to be 3-14. What? I don't. Maybe that means they're optimistic or they're more realistic. I just don't get it. I can't subscribe to that theory.
Well, you almost have me there thinking. I'm just trying to be realistic. There's just so many things with this team that are wrong. An offensive line that has to find cohesion and just one mini camp or one training camp. A wide receiver core that has never worked together. A tight end that we're still wondering, does this team have a tight end that can catch 80 passes, which this offense really needs, particularly given the quality at wide receiver that we have. So just those questions on the offensive part make me, as a realist, think, I don't see 7 wins. I see 6 wins, or if that. But we will see.
You're saying that now, though. Wait till the season kicks off and you get even more emotionally invested, and there's players running and there's players catching and there's tackles and there's announcing that pisses us off. When Chris Collinsworth is talking about how sexy Aaron Rodgers' hair looks today when he reports to camp with his long hair. Mm-hmm. And and how we're on week 2 on Sunday night in Green Bay. Like every year we're on primetime up there, and everyone's going to be biased toward them, and everybody in the pregame is going to pick Green Bay. And then the announcing is going to be like listening to Packers radio in Wisconsin with our former fucking announcer, no less, and Wayne Larrivee. And then you're gonna get invested. You're gonna be like, no, we can win this. Fuck all these people. You watch. You're gonna when it gets here, you're gonna care. You're gonna think we can win.
Well, we got a great opportunity to win week 1 because Trey Lance of the 49ers was announced as the week 1 starter.
See, that makes me nervous. Don't tell me that. See, every time we play a quarterback that's never played, they like Colin Kaepernick, Brock Osweiler. They're like, oh, this man has never played a snap in his life. He throws for 290 and 3 touchdowns. It's like they could be the 85 Bears if you put like the greatest defensive season ever, right? But if let me try to think if Tommy Kramer had been hurt and some fucking third stringer just started that night, Minnesota probably upsets us. We can't beat quarterbacks when they're like starting their first game. It's over and over and over. That makes me nervous. I almost want to play Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, especially
because we don't know what to expect with Trey Lance. But then again, that's the same argument. I'm not trying to bounce around, but that's the same reason I think we have a shot at Green Bay in week 2. Because they don't know what we're doing. They're going to have 1 week of tape and some vanilla preseason.
I agree. I think the Bears might have the upper hand there in many aspects of that matchup. The worst one, though, against the Bears, I think, is the fact that the game is nationally televised in Green Bay. It seems like the Bears have not done well there since that John Fox win.
With Jay Cutler.
Yeah, 2015.
Thanksgiving night.
Jeez.
It's been a long time, man.
Oh, my God. That is awful. All right, I want to let Chris Watts know. I sent him a private chat message. He didn't respond, but stand by, buddy. I'm going to bring you in a couple of minutes, Tooch, and when you're ready to jump in, just do so. Dan, I got a question for you. How are you at understanding guys with thick Irish brogue, not Irish, but thick accents? Because Chris has a thick accent.
I don't want to disparage his accent, but if it's Irish on movies like that one Brad Pitt was in, I couldn't understand a fucking thing they were saying. What was that called?
It's a Yorkshire accent. Yes, you're talking about.
That was from '99.
I love that movie.
I couldn't understand anything that was being said. That
was sort of the joke with the Brad Pitt character.
I literally couldn't understand anything. I saw that at the theater, and like if I had saw it at home with subtitles, maybe. But I hated it. Like I felt like I was in a foreign film.
Snatch, I think it's called.
Snatch without subtitles. I felt like I was in a foreign film without any subtitles.
It is a foreign film. It's from England.
I couldn't dig it at all. I couldn't understand anything was being said. I don't like that criminal one either. Like the mafia one that everybody else likes. Oh God, the Irish gangsters or whatever the fuck. What is it called? There's 2 of them.
From the same direct. Three barrels and.
No, I can never think of the name of it. It's everybody seems to like it, but me. But there's 2 of them, and like I said, they're like Irish gangsters. There's 2. There's a sequel. Anyway, I'll look it up.
By the way, Isaiah Robles says I like Snatch. No, I love Snatch, Isaiah. So reevaluate that opinion.
If you watched it with subtitles, perhaps.
Well, do you ever do that? Do you ever put on the closed caption on your TV?
I do. Not when I'm necessarily recording something, but like if I'm just watching it, and it's not going to permanently be on the recording, then yeah, I'll do. Especially if there's a character that's speaking some shit that I can't understand.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you,
there's a lot of stuff you'll get too, even if it's a movie you like.
Yes, exactly. A lot of like the Card Counter movie that Tooch recommended we see with what's the name of the actor? Again, he's sensational. He's in the people.
The Saints just popped in my head.
Which one?
The one I was trying to think of. I'm sorry for bouncing around. Right. The Boondock Saints. There's 2 of them.
Okay. Yeah.
I couldn't get into those at all.
Yeah, I have not seen those.
Okay, go ahead though. I didn't mean to step on you.
Oscar Isaac is a card counter.
Yeah. I haven't seen that. Tooch did want us to watch it. It sounded good though.
It is very good. But I had to turn on the captions because there's a lot of that method acting. If you want to go in the back and play a game of cards and so forth. It's like, what the fuck did he just say? I can't make it out. So I put the closed caption in and I capture every valuable line of that perfect movie. All right. So without further ado, let's bring in Mr. Chris Watts. How are you, Chris?
Hi, guys. Yeah, I'm very well. You make I don't really know about my accent now. You got me really paranoid about will anybody actually fucking understand me for next how long? So no, it's been great. I'm good, man. It's a bit of an honor coming onto the show. So
Let me see that shirt you're wearing. Look at that shirt he's got on there, Dan.
I got this especially for Dan.
Oh, I love Jim McMahon, and he's got Jim Morrison in the background.
Too right, mate. Too right. Yeah, it's Sports Illustration from 1986. It's got Jim McMahon sitting on the shoulders of Brian Bosworth.
Outstanding.
I love it.
And that's all honour for you, Dan, because I like you, mate. Jim McMahon was one of the reasons why I became a Bears fan. So
how about that?
I had to put that on just for you, brother.
Thank you. It's awesome, man. It's awesome. It's good to talk with you.
So Chris,
it's really nice to talk to you, mate.
Yeah, and Chris has been asking, hey, when can I get on? When can I get on? And I've been putting it off. And I said, fuck, we got to do this, man. My man Chris is going to get pissed off at me. So.
No, not at all. Because this show is you and Dan and Tooch, you know what I mean? So I sort of asked you a few times, and then I thought, I don't want to come over like a nagging old woman, just constantly going, can you let me come on? Can you let me come on? But so but I mean, the Dan and Aldo show was the first show I actually saw on the network. So it's down to you guys that completely sold me on the network after watching you guys. Man. So it's just completely quite weird being in this situation with me. When you've watched somebody for so long, and then actually I'm speaking to you guys, it's sort of very surreal.
Well, first of all, I got to tell you, I understood every single word that you said. Perhaps it's saying all those nice things about me. But secondly, I wanted to ask you about your accent. Is that as Tooch put up, a Yorkshire accent, or
it is?
Okay.
It is. I mean, I'm from West Yorkshire. So in our country, it's really weird. You can literally live 10 miles away from somebody and you can have a completely different accent. Wow. So I've got like a West Yorkshire accent. And if you went south by 30, 40 miles out of Sheffield, they've got a lot more broader accent than I've got. So you think it's hard to understand me. If you listen to somebody from Barnsley, like what's like an old mining pit village, you'd have no chance.
So is one of those neighborhoods like a really bad neighborhood? Because I've read, magazine articles or old movies that there's a part of Yorkshire that the gangsters hung out and stuff like that.
I mean, Leeds is quite probably the main. Yeah, I mean, I'd say Leeds were like that about 150 years ago. There were like loads of brothels in the city centre and loads of sort of like, a bit like Oliver Twist. But like Leeds isn't too bad, really. I mean, we're the largest city in the county, but you only have to go like a couple of miles out of the city centre, and you're in, the Yorkshire countryside. So it's not a continuous urban stretch, really. We do have quite a lot of spaces. Sorry, but I mean, we do get the violence, but luckily it's manageable. Let's just say that.
Chicago, right?
Well, I mean, when you had the shooting the other week, which was just absolutely terrible. I think I watched something on YouTube. It must have been one of the local Chicago news channels, and it showed you all the gun violence actually in the city of Chicago, and it was just crazy. The amount it came up as like little red dots when they'd had like an incident, and it was just crazy. And I mean, I remember watching a documentary about Chicago. It's like a main highway in what's quite a dangerous place, and there's quite a lot of crackheads and sort of addicts there and stuff like that. I remember watching a program about that, but it wouldn't stop me coming to Chicago anyway.
Yeah, I'd love it if you do come to Chicago, you got a place to stay. We got a room upstairs for you. So
you don't want to say things like that. I ended up staying on somebody's couch for about 2 years.
Well, we get you deported well before that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say get me kicked out of the country.
And now Jordan asked a minute ago in the chat, are you far away from Leeds? But isn't Yorkshire in Leeds?
No, Leeds is a city, and then Yorkshire's the county what Leeds is in. So it's like a state, I suppose, in America. But I live right in the city centre. But Tooch has actually been to the city with his wife. So Tooch has actually been literally about less than a quarter of a mile away from where I live.
That's right. Tooch has been there. I hung out with Berlissimo, former barroom guy, now over at the Tape Never Lies. Absolutely.
Speak of the devil and he shall appear.
Nicely done.
Yeah, I went to Leeds. Great. I love Yorkshire. The accent, I think the accent's one of the easier accents to understand, the Yorkshire accent. Also went to Scarborough and Whitby, which is the home of Bram Stoker, the author of Dracula, the Whitby Abbey, the ruins of Whitby Abbey. But Yorkshire is a beautiful country up there. Leeds has one of the best museums I've ever been to in my life. That's the Imperial War Museum, which has like weapons from throughout history, like suits of Japanese armor and swords and all sorts of cool, British knights' armor and weaponry, halberds and pole axes. Great museum. The Royal Armories, I think it's called, right?
That's
Chris?
right, yes.
Hey, Mr. Shorty.
That's right, Tooch, yeah.
Chris, Mr. Shorty asked if you do other accents. And so I was wondering, can you do an American accent? Because I always think it's weird when, Australians, people from England and Ireland and so forth, when they do American accent, because of course we're so accustomed to hearing ourselves talk. Is it easy for you to do? You can do an accent like that?
I haven't really done an American accent for a long time. I don't know. I'm trying to think like which region might pop out of my mind. I can't do it, man. This is so funny. We're going to talk a little bit like that, and talk about the Chicago Bears, and we talk about the quarterback. And I think I will get a bit more Brooklyn or a bit more New Jersey, but that was terrible, wasn't it?
I thought it was pretty good. Right?
I apologize to everybody.
No apologies necessary. Thought it was pretty good, Dan. What'd you think?
I'm understanding him, so
thank God. You see, the thing is, Dan's got like the most golden voice I've ever heard in my life, and I'm English, and he makes me sound like a complete idiot.
Yeah, we got to do something with Dan's voice, and like make sex audio.
Oh God.
Audio, and Dan narrates it, because a lot of women are turned on by Dan's voice. You get that a lot, Dan?
That's sort of served me well, being able to I can talk their panties off,
I love it.
I don't look like Zac Efron here, I look like I'd be at the McDonald's with what's the fucking left tackle that we had that Cutler pushed? What was his name again?
I should never forget his name.
From 2012.
Yes.
Jamarcus Webb.
Jamarcus Webb.
I'm hanging out with Jamarcus today, and we had Big Macs. So it's my voice and I'd like to think my intellect that helps me get laid.
Yeah. Well,
that's awesome.
All right, Chris, I wanted to ask you. Do you share Dan's positivity about this upcoming season, hopes about this upcoming season?
I'm absolutely with Dan. What Dan said about being a fan is completely right. If I couldn't go into a season thinking, we're going to be, 5-12 or whatever it could be, you got to look at it in a positive way, really. And I think how some of the media has been talking about the Bears, I think they're underestimating what we can do. But it's sort of so hard. Even though we're going into the training camp period, it's still so hard to sort of say, well, this could happen with this player, and he could be really good. A lot like Greg Gabriel says, you just don't know until it happens sometimes. But I'm very much the same way as Dan, really. I've got to believe that. I think when we did our sort of review of the season, or preview of the season, sorry, I think I gave the Bears 9 wins. So I'm thinking anything over 500, I'd be really happy with.
Well, I tell you, Vegas, which, they're usually far more right than not. They've set the Bears 1-loss total at 4.5.
Right.
So we should maybe gather our money together and put a bet on the Bears to at least win 5 games this season. I gotta believe.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I can't see them not winning 5 games.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Especially with the schedule as well.
Yeah. Mr. Shorty is asking what time it is over there in Yorkshire.
It is. It is 3:05 a.m.
3 a.m. Holy shit! Do you usually keep this kind of schedule, Chris?
I can do any schedule I want, mate. Yeah, no, I mean, all they do is just get a few hours early in the evening, but the adrenaline and I've been sort of excited to go onto the show, and also the nerds are kicked in a bit as well. But no, it doesn't matter what time of day it is.
I love it. I love it. What about your expectations for Justin Fields, Chris? What were you thinking about? What would be acceptable for you in terms of growth?
I think I just think his ball handling when he starts run out, it's got to improve dramatically. I mean, the amount of fumbles he gave away last year were just ridiculous, I thought. But I just think with the new offense, and he hasn't got the ball fuckers, Dan likes to say, coaching him. I think he's going to improve, but I don't think he's going to sort of, be like a Pro Bowler within this year. But all I want to see really is just from the whole team and the coaching, it's just a steady improvement from what we had over last year and the previous year. But yeah, I think if without the ball fuck about, that's got to be a plus straight away.
Mm. Hey, Dan, the other team that is Vegas has at 4.5 wins, it's the team that is being coached by this guy, Lovie Smith. What do you think about that, Mr. Dan Aguirre?
Yeah, well, I think the Bears, maybe I'm just blinded by my own fandom, but I think the Bears are in better shape than the Texans, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe everybody's right and I'm just a fool. But I like to think that, and to comment off what Chris said, I think if your expectation is, well, your hope or your desire is just for the Bears to be better than what they have been the last couple of years, to me, that's a low bar, because Nagy was legitimately that bad. I again, the coach and Fields playing without Andy Dalton there alone means 3 more wins to me. At least.
I just go back to, there's so many new moving parts here. It's just hard to assemble a competitive football team with so many new faces that quickly, and particularly when a lot of those new faces are guys who have not had a lot of success in the NFL. And you look at the wide receiver room, it's our guy Mooney, and then after that, who else has had sustainable?
What did we have last season?
Well, you had A-Rob, who at the very least gathered attention. A-Rob was ruined by Matt Nagy. I truly, truly believe.
He had a really shitty season. And the other guys had a couple of, moments fleeting, like Bird caught the game-winning pass against Seattle. And, we traded for the kick returner from the Dolphins, and he had some moments against the Packers on Sunday Night Football, and then he's gone now. And who else did we have? The guy from San Francisco. I can never think of names that I'm on here live. It was number 84. He had the catch against the Ravens. But I mean, on paper, this wide receiver group is no less than they were.
Right, and look, Marquise Goodwin.
Marquise Goodwin, there you go. The former 49er had the game that should have been a game-winning reception against Baltimore.
Yeah, but see, Dan, I think you're making my argument there. So you had a bad wide receiver core this year. You've got similar type players this year. than you had last year. So what kind
Well,
of
we got a third round draft pick that we're looking at as being, a guy that's going to contribute.
Yes.
I still think we got the hungry St. Brown, who I keep saying, Green Bay, the great Luke Getsy, playing off the great Gatsby, would not have recommended this guy if he didn't think he had something, whether talent or heart or something.
I agree.
And then we got the guy from New England now. I mean, who's to say what he's going to produce? We've got the guy that was arrested, Pringle. There's a couple of guys. I mean, it just looks like it could be good.
But
I don't know.
Sorry, Dan. Sorry, boy.
No, go ahead, please.
I was just going to say one of the things what you said, Dan, which I really like, is that why could it not happen to the Bears? Like it happened to the Cincinnati Bengals last year, and I like to think that way as well. Why I know the Bears' history and all the the years they've had without any sort of positive outcomes, but I just like that fact that it could happen. We could be the Bengals of this season coming. So yeah, I always like that idea and mindset, Dan. What you bring with that one.
Thank you. We concur on that, and we park our cars in the same driveway.
Definitely, mate.
N'Keal Harry, and by the way, I wanted to show this earlier and I forgot to. This is N'Keal Harry epitomizes his season last year with the Patriots. He stretches out, almost has it, and then suffers a concussion. His hands are so inconsistent. Sometimes it feels like he's afraid to go all out. I wonder if, we'll see. But he just strikes me as one of these guys who has been intimidated by the speed of the NFL and how hard people hit. But we'll see. What did he go to? Do you guys know Arizona State? Because he was highly regarded coming out of college, first round. Greg Gabriel listed him as a first-round potential when he did his scouting evaluation back then for Pro Football Weekly. Arizona State. Thanks, Tooch. Tooch, why aren't you here? We miss you, man. Join the party. Oh, you muted.
Sorry, letting Chris get in some time.
You're such a polite guy.
You're such a gentleman, mate. You're such a gentleman. And also as well, Tooch, am I right remembering this, that you had a part in Natural Born Killers? Is that right? Is that something I'm remembering right?
Yeah, I was an extra in the prison food fight scene.
Oh yeah, right.
I heard there was a lot of real badass motherfuckers as part of the extras, and wasn't the prison still open while they were shooting?
Yeah. Yep,
really? Wow.
Open. Yeah, they blocked off some quadrants for us to do the show, and I got to stand around with Oliver Stone and Tommy Lee Jones and Woody.
Cool.
I told my Woody Harrelson story. Juliette Lewis and Woody they're short. Juliette Lewis is probably 4'11".
She was like 19 when she filmed that too.
Yeah,
really. She's always been a horny little thing for me, man. not my type, but definitely attractive from a physical standpoint.
She dates the drummer from Rage Against the Machine, whom I'm going to see live on Friday.
Nice, very cool.
Nice.
Oh, cool, man.
This will be how many concerts for you this year, Dan?
Shit, I don't know. Probably 10.
Jeez.
I don't know, just off the top of my head. I got a few more. Got 9 Inch Nails coming up. I've got, don't forget, Jane's Addiction and the Smashing Pumpkins at the United Center in Chicago. Mm-hmm. I've got Bush, an English band. I'm going to meet Gavin. I got VIP passes. I've already met him once. He hugged me in Raleigh, but my date was on her phone and didn't fucking take a picture of it.
Oh. Is that why you left her?
That was just a date. I mean,
Is that why you never called her back?
No, she got into a serious relationship afterwards. I think she's still with the dude too. So.
Oh, nice. What did I just see? Somebody put up something funny in the chat. Missed it. Oh well, jeez. Cliff Victoria says.
Can I ask a quick question? Dan, which sort of concerts do you prefer? Do you like the big arena ones, or do you like the small little sweaty sort of club sort of gigs? I mean, I like the small little sweaty venues and all that sort of thing where you're up close to the artist. I'm just wondering, which one do you prefer?
That's a question no one's ever asked me. I don't know if I have an answer one over the other. I guess
Right.
I guess if I had to give you an answer, probably a venue where, everyone's general admission, so you don't have to, be relegated to your seat.
Right.
So I think that's my favorite. Just, it doesn't necessarily have to be, it could still be a big arena per se, but if everything's general admission, that would be my favorite. So you could be standing on the floor.
Yeah, yeah. You're okay, you're about 6'5", so you're one of the guys that I always get stuck behind in a concert. And I'm only 5'9".
And if I'm in, like Friday night is in the arena where the Pittsburgh Penguins play hockey, and whoever's going to be sitting behind me is going to be bitching that I'm too tall, guaranteed.
Yeah. It should be good though. Rage Against the Machine. I saw them at Reading '92, and they were really good. It should be
it's
a good
a bucket
concert.
list band for me.
Oh, is it? Oh, cool. But did the singer injure his leg?
Yeah, Zach's got a cast on his foot right now, but he's sitting.
All right.
Yeah, but from the YouTube videos I've watched, it seems that he's still really firing up the crowd in spite of his lack of ability to really move.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good, man. Sorry, man, I took us off on a bit of a tangent then. Sorry.
No, it looks like Aldo's probably gone to piss or something anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
It was something I wanted to ask you.
Go ahead.
Why don't you go ahead, Chris, and interview Dan?
Sorry, man. Sorry. I just because I don't.
I'm not kidding. I'm saying for real. Go ahead.
Right.
Give it. Yeah.
It's just we're both massive music lovers. I mean, we're both like quite different things, but we're both like rock. We've both got crossover bands that we both like, and also as well, Dan. I'm sure you said last week or the previous week that you went to a concert and somebody pulled a gun out on you. Is that true? Am I getting that wrong?
That was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina in 2004. I was at the band was called Cradle of Filth, and they're English as well.
Yeah, I've heard of them, yeah.
Yeah, it was after the show was over, and long story short, the date, well, she wasn't really my date. I rode with her. I gave her a ticket so she would drive, and I could just, chill. I hate driving. But anyway, she lost the key to the car, the ignition key to the car. Like she had, all the other keys, but the one we need to leave, she lost. So we go back into the venue after the show's over. It's dark and there's garbage everywhere. And like, fuck, we'll never find one key. And long story short, a kid comes running out of the bathroom and he says, he's got a fucking gun. And I remember thinking, I'm going to see some shit. And I turned my head and I was like, no, I'm in the shit. The guy had the gun like Tupac that turned sideways, pointed at me. And of course I was a bitch. I put my hands up immediately. I wasn't fucking around with this guy, but he moved his head for a split second and I took off running and I was like, please don't shoot me in the back. And he didn't. And eventually we got back into the club after they cleared it and got the key and went home. But that's a Cliff Notes version.
Holy shit.
My God.
That was the same
God,
beat the Titans in overtime with a safety in 2004. Same day.
God.
My God.
With Craig Krenzel.
Only in America, right, Chris?
Well, unfortunately, it seems that way. I mean, I know we've been on about it, via Twitter, with obviously what's been happening in the States recently with gun law, but we just don't have that gun culture over here. We just don't have that hunting culture. I mean, people hunt in this country, but it's for like grouse and pheasant. We don't have like bears and wolves and big game like you have in America. So we don't really have that gun culture. But I wouldn't even know where to go to get a gun. I've never shot a real gun in my life. I've not even seen elite people legally having them. That's how tight the gun laws are in this country. But it's just so sad. It's just when you see when kids are getting killed and when it's in schools and it's happened over here. A guy went into a school in the 90s in Scotland and killed a load of little kids, and that's when you just think, how could why are we all accepting this as a society and a world? You know what I mean? I don't want to get political, but I always remember Barack Obama, and he was talking after the mass shooting. And the guy started crying, and I thought, that's a human being. Barack Obama showing the frustration of what we all feel about gun violence, and it's just so tragic, especially what's happening, in America at the moment. It's so scary.
It really is. Well said, Chris. I appreciate your perspective on that issue. All right, let's get back to the topic of football, guys, because I got a couple more sound bites here that we can react to. This is Justin Fields talking about one of the issues that I'm concerned about is developing a chemistry with this new wide receiver room.
I think the coaches do a great job, rotating guys in. So I don't think it's going to be much of a challenge, building relationships with those guys and, getting the timing down with them. So the coaches do a great job of, rotating those guys in and, just kind of, moving guys in different places, around the field. So I don't think that'll be a problem.
Have you had a chance to connect with N'Keal Harry yet?
Yeah, so the day after he signed, I just sent him a text over, and he was, of course, excited to be here, and I'm excited of what he can do. We all saw what he did at Arizona State in college, and just his frame, what he can do as a playmaker. I mean, I'm very excited to see what he can do on the field.
Well, he seems to not have a care in the world regarding establishing a rapport with wide receivers. It's just you guys have to agree with me that this is going to be quite the challenge for this second-year quarterback, finding a rapport with guys like St. Brown, all the Pringle, all the new acquisitions at this wide receiver room that are being counted on for success. Velus Jones, I think, is going to have a big season because he's going to be catching a lot of wide receiver screen passes. So he's not going to be counted on to utilize the entire route tree. But these other veterans are, and yet I still think it's going to be a challenge for Justin to establish rapport with these veteran wayward wide receivers. And Chris, what do you think? Do you have any concerns at all about this?
I have the same concerns what you just said, Aldo, but I just think at least this time in training camp, he's got the whole training camp. Like, I know last year, obviously, they didn't have him as the start. They had Andrew Dalton. And so at least he's going to get the first team reps with the guys this time. But for me, this season coming is all about plugging the holes and then concentrating on the next season when we get cap space and we can really start spending on maybe a couple of big wide receiver free agents. But I know he's done some work with some of the guys outside as well, outside of training camp. So I'm optimistic, really. I just think him getting first reps is going to make a big difference.
That is true, Dan. I mean, the fact that he's coming into camp this year. Hey, there's Bellissimo. I used to be on shows here, and I am allowed to comment in our chat, or is this a big cult too?
What's that mean?
I don't know. Is that in contact with something else?
No, I don't mean that sarcastically at all. I like George a lot. We had some good conversations. I don't know what that means, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure because he didn't write anything prior to give that any context. Tooch, Aldo, Dynamo, and you dude who sounds dead Yorkshire. Do you know George Bayless at all, Chris? He's barely seen.
I don't know. I don't know every Yorkshireman in the world. Sorry, Aldo. It's like that's like asking a man of colour. Do you know every man of colour in the world?
I only ask because Berlissimo is a very prominent figure in Bears Twitter. He has his own.
Right. I think I have. Yeah, I think I've sort of seen him on Twitter, and his name does ring a bell, but I'm not massively on Twitter all the time. The only reason I got Twitter is, for the network so we could all communicate. But I'll keep an eye out for him. You never know, I might just see him down the street tomorrow, knowing my luck.
If you do, have a beer on me.
Oh, definitely, mate, definitely.
Bellissimo goes on to say, "Don't lie, us Brits all know each other and the Queen."
Yeah. Oh yes, we all know the Queen personally. I see her every year for a cup of tea.
All right, back to who were we talking about? Fields, right?
We're talking wide receiver chemistry.
Yeah. What do you think, Dan?
It's football, man. These guys have played football their whole life.
Yeah.
You don't want to be like the Anthony Miller that we had that kept running his routes the wrong way, allegedly cutting them off and such, when it's dictated on time and precision and being in the spot that you're supposed to be in. So those things matter to get into a rhythm with chemistry. But for the most part, every guy that we're talking about that's new to the team is playing football, something they've done their whole life. It's not like we're asking them to write with the other hand and they're not ambidextrous, or we need you to learn a foreign language before September. It's fucking football. I think they get in there, they play, they're going to be okay. The Christians always tell me, you got to have faith. George Michael told me, you got to have faith. You got to have faith, Aldo. The Bears are going to be okay. We're going to win.
All right. I love it. I love it.
If George Michael says it, mate, it's got to happen.
Absolutely. Do you know George Michael, Chris?
I did, yeah. I know him. I know all the stars, and everybody in Britain. We all know each other. We're a small country.
Yeah, who's the sexiest female British actor that I should be jerking off to?
You know the show what was on Disney Plus, Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee, the actress who plays her, she's stunning. I can't remember her name, but she's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, she was in one of the episodes of Tucci's Entertainment Weekly magazine. There was a whole feature story on her. She is gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't remember her name, but I remember her pictures really, really well.
Yeah, it sort of stays in your mind, doesn't it?
Exactly. All right, we have to talk about Robert Quinn because he did miss mandatory workouts a month ago at camp, and now he is at camp. He showed up today for the first day of training camp, and Ryan Poles was asked, does Robert Quinn want out?
Do you think Robert Quinn wants to be here, or has he expressed a desire for a trade?
I haven't had that conversation with him. I would hope that he wants to be here. So that nothing's changed on that front.
How does he fit in? You've got a roster that's dramatically younger than it was a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
A lot less experience. How does he fit where he's at in his career with where you guys are at, sort of constructing and putting this thing together?
Yeah, I think it's important to have guys that are experienced, that have had success in this league and know how to play and practice. So for me, that's what he brings.
Well, I, for one, hope that they don't trade Robert Quinn until the middle of the season. That's when I think his value could be at its highest, just like Von Miller last year was traded for a second-round pick and a third-round pick because the team that acquired him was in the hunt for the Super Bowl. They needed that pass rusher. That's the same thing with Robert Quinn. I hope that he gets out to a tremendous start, and hopefully, as Dan wants and everybody here wants, hopefully the Bears are in playoff contention and you don't even think about trading him. But if they're not, then maybe you pick up some draft capital, given that he's not going to be in the long-term plans for this team. Anyone disagree or want to add to that?
Well, I hope that Quinn is with the successful Bears team and doing well, and he says, fuck it, let's try to win it here. But in the event that everybody else is right and Bears fans are wrong and that we're underperforming, or maybe it's just a lack of cohesiveness, as you were saying, first year, new players, new coach, and their record isn't good, then maybe you could pull off that trade. I just hope it doesn't come to that. And I don't think it will, but again, it's only July and I could be foolish.
Yeah. What do you think, Chris?
I generally agree with what you said, Aldo, really. I think if you start stuff really quick and gets quite lax, then obviously that's going to raise his status if we do manage to keep him to November. But I'm like Dan, I'm thinking, God, I hope we're like in a position where we're on like a game behind Green Bay or hopefully a game above them, and I hope that we can keep him, because I just think his experience is just going to help, because we've got quite a lot of young guys drafted in, for the defensive line. So I'd like to have a guy like him with the experience, for the rookies.
Tooch, what do you think?
Well, man, I broke it down last week with the one-loss record on paper before the season starts, and I have around 6 or 7 wins, which is what Vegas has them at 6.5. So if anything goes either side, that's right around the number. But for as far as Robert Quinn, I mean, we're not going to get much for him if we do trade him, unless some team with Super Bowl aspirations has a catastrophic injury. Then I think you might be able to get a 4th or 3rd even for him. But I mean, look, the Bears are building a young core, and would Robert Quinn be an asset? Sure. Yeah. Like Baralissimo said, this is kind of where I'm at, Is they're in a position to keep Quinn, unless it's a silly offer, you take the silly offer, you get that, if it's a 3rd round draft pick, I think you pull the trigger. I mean, that's pretty generous for a player of his age. I know we talked about it last week, Danny. I think that was like the best we could hope for. But what guy coming off 18 sacks who just set the team record for sacks? Would you like to get more? Yeah, but that's not how the NFL marketplace works.
Well, like I said last week, though, even if he falls off like his predicted trajectory throughout his career, says he has a really dynamite season and then it's not as good the next season. If you go from 18.5 to 10 or 11, that's better than what Peppers and Mac did for us. I'm sorry, it was. Peppers and Mac and Jared Allen too, were all brought here to get 14, 15 sacks a season. It never happened. It happened with Robert Quinn, though. So even if he gets like 10 or 11, that's still awesome and can still help us significantly in 2022.
And help the development of some of the other players on the line, because Quinn will demand attention. And I agree with Baralissimo that this scheme that the Bears are going to run under Eberflus and the defensive coordinator, Alan Williams, I think it's really going to suit Quinn's style of play. And people who are saying, yeah, well, he's due for a down season, because if you look at his sack total, 1 year it's up, 1 year it's down, 1 year it's up. Forget about all that stuff. That's just more coincidence. It's not like he's given up every other year, taking a year off, doing the siesta, as Dan Aguirre likes to say.
The defense loved the siesta.
By the way, when you were talking about I think it was Tooch talking about the development of younger players, it brought to mind that today Lucas Patrick was asked, what about these young offensive linemen on this team? Do you think that they're disappointed that 2 veteran offensive linemen were brought in? This was his response.
I think it's a great message that in the NFL, nothing's guaranteed, and competition is the greatest barometer for a team. I mean, if we could have 100 guys in here who are all NFL veterans and make everyone better, then I think it makes the team better, which then helps us win games. That's how I see it, and I've been on both sides of the coin, and it's definitely a benefit. You just have to approach it with the right mentality that you have to bring your best every day. I mean, that's why it's the National Football League, and that's why we're professionals. I'm here because I've benefited from a lot of guys who gave me all the advice that they wanted to give or were willing to give, and I'll give it to any guy who's willing to listen, and I think it'll make our team better, and that's the end goal is to make this team better, win games, and make a run for the Lombardi.
I hate it when they call it the Lombardi. I really do. That trophy should be named after George Hallas. What the hell? Anyway. But I one of the things that I like about this team is Lucas Patrick. I think he's going to be an outstanding center. I love his smarts. Every time he talks, he's got something interesting to say. I saw a lot of tape of him with Green Bay last year. I think he's going to be an outstanding center for Justin Fields. How he talks about Justin Fields, almost in reverence, it's really inspiring. I think that just him, Lucas Patrick, being on the offensive line at that center position and his knowledge of the offense, him being the guy who's going to call out plays for the offensive linemen and make them aware of stuff. I think that in itself is perhaps the biggest improvement of this offensive line this year. I mean, it's almost incalculable, the things that he's going to help this team with that you won't necessarily see on the football field.
I think he could be only the second Packer that I can think off the top of my head that's played successfully with the Bears. Like Sitton was good when the Bears brought him over when he got cut at the end of training camp in 2016. Oh, Josh Sitton was pretty good. But like over the years, man, we got like Edgar Bennett. It's like, man, he wasn't any good when he was here. But conversely, like when Peppers goes to Green Bay, he's great. Ron Cox goes to Green Bay, wins the Super Bowl. Anthony Morgan goes to Green Bay. Jim McMahon, Steve Mongo McMichael. We lose our guys to Green Bay, but we never bring anybody from there over here that's ever worth a fuck. But I think that this guy, I like him. I like his potential. And for all the people that, thought Sam Mustipher wasn't successful and it proved not to be, this seems to be a big upgrade. I like him. I think he's got the world of potential for us.
Mr. Shorty just brought up the returner, Glenn Milburn.
Oh, no, Glenn Milburn did have a successful – he was originally a Bronco, but still, that's still a good point. I'll give him Glenn Milburn.
Yeah.
I would just – so I was just thinking, what do you reckon this is going to mean to Trevor Jenkins with these two guys coming in?
That's a great question. I mean, a lot of people are speculating that Reiff was brought in because Tevin Jenkins is probably not ready to be a starter. And
right,
maybe that's the case. Or maybe it's a way of inspiring Jenkins. I read out loud Brad Biggs' tweet regarding the compensation. Maybe they're hoping that Jenkins is going to be that starter at tackle and that Reiff will never see more than 10% of the offensive snaps, which would mean that his contract will only be about the $3 million a year area. So,
right,
just having the presence of a veteran there should be telling Jenkins, hey, you got to work harder. You got to really get this done. And maybe it's a brilliant move by Ryan Poles to bring in this veteran that's going to scare the shit. It's going to scare Tevin Jenkins straight, make him the starter that he should be in this league. Matthew Fochese says that Jenkins looks broken. And he did in that last press conference. We really haven't had a chance to see him. I do have some news, by the way, that I'm going to be, a week from today, I am going to be at Bears training camp at Hallas Hall.
Wow.
And so I will have firsthand information on the show. And thanks to someone very special in my life, a person who I just met, I've got 3 additional tickets to that game. And so if anyone is interested in joining me for that, let me know. And then if I get more than 3 requests for that ticket, I will do some kind of a lottery or something. I'm
so jealous. I'm so jealous that you get a chance. That makes me realize how far away I am from you guys. When you can go to the training camp, Sam, that'd be something, because I used to coach running backs for a club around here. I'd love to see all that. So I'm very jealous, Aldo.
Well, I got to tell you, and it's Greg Elkin that is providing the tickets. I actually reached out to Greg Braggs and said, hey, man, I was on a plane on the way to San Diego when the ticket thing opened for training camp, so I wasn't able to get any. Can you help me? And he immediately called Greg up, and Greg was so cool. And Greg, I would love to bring Greg Elkin on our show. Dan, you'll get a kick out of this. Everybody should get a kick out of this. It's a great story. And Greg will tell it better when he's on the show, but his mom got season tickets from George Hallas. She used to handle some part of the team's business. I think it was like setting up their meetings, or I forgot exactly what she did, but he was so grateful to her that he, I'm going to say, sold her season tickets, and they've kept the season tickets in the family now for decades. And so he's going to share that story when he joins us soon. Greg Elkin, thank you very much for those training camp tickets. We've got training camp tickets for 2 or 3 other dates as well. So I'll let people know about those, and I'd love to attend those with anybody who is in town. And
let's hope that Brad Biggs doesn't think that you're Phil again and want to fuck you up.
Yeah, quickly, the story there is I'm at the Senior Bowl, and there's Brad Biggs, and he's staring at me, and I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, does he want to kick my ass? What's going on here? And then later that night at the bar where all the sports writers and scouts go to drink, Lauren Cox and his buddy, Owen Reiff, I think is his name, they go over to say hi to Brad Biggs, and Brad Biggs looks at Owen and says, I don't want us to talk to you. You're that guy Phil who's always talking shit about me and stuff. And so I start thinking, well, maybe Brad was looking at me thinking maybe I was Phil, because he kept giving me mean looks. 2 or 3 other times I would cross paths with him, Brad Biggs was looking at me like I had committed a crime against him or his And Mo Bierman is definitely right. I am a little bit taller than Phil Otoshin, about 14 inches taller.
Wow.
But anyway, that is the Brad Biggs story. Yeah, Dan, are you coming into town to go to camp with me?
I can't, man. I'm completely away from town until November, but I'll be there November and January.
Well, Chris, fly in.
If I could, I'd be there definitely, mate. It'd be so cute. It's at Hallas Hall now, isn't it? Where they do the training camp. They used to do it. Didn't they used to do it at a university or something beforehand. So that'd have been really cool. But you never know, Aldo. I might just show up at your door, my little rucksack.
Yeah, my drive to Bourbonnais, where they used to practice, was 30 miles one way, 30 miles back. And now to Lake Forest, where Halas Hall is, it's probably 4 or 5 miles. So that's going to be nice.
Oh, that's cool, yeah.
Yeah, but I will try to shoot some video on the sly, stuff for us to react to next week. And who knows, maybe grab some interviews. If I get a chance to interview Ryan Post, I'm gonna tell him, listen, Ryan, before we do this interview, you need to smile a little. You need to be upbeat a little bit. We're trying to sell this product here at the barroom. Please. So, guys, back to the football team itself. Chris, what worries you the most about this team, and what outside of Justin Fields do you feel best about? Give me a negative and give me a positive.
I think the negative will be the offensive line. I still think that's a work in progress. But the positive is David Montgomery. I mean, I played running backs. I always loved running backs. But I just hope he can have a really good season. So that's my negative and positive for you.
There you go. What about you, Tooch?
Boy, I'm still thinking linebackers. Either wide receiver or linebacker are the thinnest. The offensive line just got quite a bit better today and yesterday, right? With Schofield and Reiff, and those are good signings because that was an area that needed depth. Mm-hmm. And injury, attrition can really derail a season. Mm-hmm. So I'm quite happy with the 2 offensive linemen. Some veteran leadership. Those young guys we have, they're going to learn, by watching these 2 veterans come in. Schofield, decent in the zone scheme. Mm-hmm. Reiff got a lot of experience playing both tackles. We have 3 young tackles. They're gonna learn. My thing is the Roquan doing Roquan things. I always talk about this. I think I talked to Show a while back about how I thought he'd probably hold out. It's just a Roquan thing. His mom negotiates his contracts. He had his mental health holiday. That's what Dan and I talked about.
The Vikings game in 19.
Yeah. And that was a loss, was it? Or did they win?
No, the Bears won. They were like 3-1 at that point, and then went to play the Raiders in London, and everything went downhill with Nagy ever since that moment.
Indeed.
You can blame that on the British. You can blame that on us if you want, Dan. Well, blame it on the British because they were playing in London. So, yeah, we'll take that one for you, mate.
I will blame it on the bald fuck.
Yeah, and the British.
But, you know,
Excuse me.
So right, you know, he's been sounding the alarm about the lack of depth at the linebacker position, and now you've got this kind of question mark regarding Roquan Smith. I expect him to sign and play this year, and not miss any football time, but it is concerning. You know, I mean, if you get an injury, if he does hold out for a few games, you know, all of a sudden that lack of depth is going to be a huge problem.
Let me ask you, if they don't come to terms, do you think he's going to hold out for the season? You know, I mean, or miss considerable time. You know, I don't see him playing under the last year of his deal just because the injury risk. You know, and he plays through this contract. They could franchise him next year, and then he's kind of in that Allen Robinson, you know, no deal type, you know, mode.
Yeah, I'd say my guess is that he will play simply because he knows he's got to prove himself to a lot of NFL people. I mean, when you have your peers, NFL players and general managers, not mentioning you as one of the top linebackers in the league, and you're headed into free agency, and you're going to do that after sitting out a season, I don't think that, to me, makes business sense. And knowing his competitive spirit and the fact that he is at camp now, even if he may not practice, I just feel he will play. But that's just speculation on my part. Bellissimo.
Let me ask you a serious question real quick.
Please do.
And be honest, bare your soul here. Do you think, and maybe I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, I'll be like, okay, I fucked this up then. But I feel like a lot of people overloved Allen Robinson. I thought Allen Robinson was okay. I didn't downplay him as much as Mike North did. But to me, our linebacker here is head and shoulders above Allen Robinson in terms of, we've got to get this guy signed, being Roquan. Do you think I'm onto something, or that I'm wrong there? I think Roquan's importance and ability exceeds A-Rob. I think we overloved A-Rob.
I agree with Dan to a point, definitely, yeah. And I also think as well is how Robinson played last season. So I know he had some injuries, but the lack of effort, or I know he was getting crappy play calls, you know, really bad routes to run, but I just think Roquan Smith is like a leader of the defense, and I think really he's one of our greatest assets. I just think I was quite sort of disappointed with Robinson's attitude last year because I know he's a great guy. I know he's been on the network, and you know, and he is he can be a wonderful player. But I definitely go with what Dan's saying. Really, I think he was our number one for a little bit too long. I think we needed to bring in more competition for him.
Yeah, go ahead, Tooch. I want to answer that question, but why don't you jump in first?
The question for which question?
Dan asked, do you think A-Rob has been overvalued by Bears fans?
Man, that's a tough question. If you held a gun to my head, I would say yes, overvalued. But he didn't get a fair shake under Nagy. Let's just say, you know.
Well, the second part of the question, Tooch, was: do you think that signing Roquan is a lot more top priority than signing A-Rob? I know they didn't come up at the same time in terms of their contracts, but to me, this is a lot higher urgency to get done as opposed to Allen Robinson, in my opinion.
You know, I'm torn two ways because, like I said just minutes ago, the linebacker position on the Bears is very thin. You know, a lot of unproven guys. But I'm kind of in agreement with Jordan Silvera where he says, you know, hey, that's one of the easiest positions to fill, whether it's like, you know, in the what do you call it, in the draft or in free agency, you know, and if you could get something like I would trade Roquan Smith for DK Metcalf like that, You know, that's a dude that's.
But would
you know,
Seattle
a game
take that
changer.
deal?
No, unless they're stupid. I don't think they are, but yeah.
Yeah. First of all, the first part of that question, I don't think that we overvalue them enough. I mean, when he came to the Chicago Bears in 2018, he was coming off an ACL injury, so he wasn't at his very best for a good portion of that season. It was probably late in the season where he really started to probably feel
Terrific playoff game.
and a terrific playoff. And he ended up that season with 55 catches, almost 800 yards receiving, and let's see, touchdowns. I don't see touchdowns. Where are my touchdowns? But in any case, then over the next two seasons, 2019 and 2020, he catches 200 passes, 98 and then 102. I mean, that's huge. And he's picking up first downs, 63 first downs in 2019. More than half of his catches went for first downs, 68 in 2020. He was a very valuable player. And that offense suffered because he did not play well last year. Now, I agree that blaming Matt Nagy for that is first and foremost. He did not engage A-Rob. He did not tell him, you know, this is a great big year for you. We're going to need you no matter who's that quarterback, the veteran Dalton, or we have to put the rookie in. We need you to compete. We need you to play at your best. And we know that you're going into a contract year. It'd be better if you had 100 catches than just 38. So I think, you know, Matt Nagy really, you know, just showed again his incompetence at leading players. And Allen Robinson, if he would have made meetings that the coach didn't go to or contacted him and talked to him during the offseason, perhaps A-Rob would have had a better head on his shoulders and been ready to compete at a higher level.
I agree with you on the Nagy thing a lot, where Nagy seemed to just be ignoring him as the stories came out after the season, which is so bizarre. But in my opinion, which again is only my opinion, not a fact, it felt like the pro Allen Robinson people were trying to act like he deserved money like Hopkins with Arizona. Conversely, I felt he was more like Marty Booker, just a working man's wide receiver, which is great. I just don't think that he was a guy that should get money or valued like Hopkins. To me, if you tell me A-Rob is our number one and Mooney's number one, I know Mooney's shorter, but still, I don't think Mooney's that much of a fall off from Robinson, in my opinion.
I agree with that. I do believe that Darnell Mooney is going to be Darnell Mooney is going to catch 100 passes this year. Book it. And he's probably going to get 8 to 10 touchdowns. I think he's going to have a breakout year, and he's going to be the next wide receiver asking for $20+ million a season. I really do believe that this rapport between Fields and Mooney is just going to blast off this year.
Well, if that happens, aren't we winning?
Well, it could also be because we're trying to catch up. You know what I mean? A lot of yards are being made up in the fourth quarter, but I don't know, man. Hopefully we are. Dan, you got me there. I see what you're doing.
Did you guys? I don't know. You didn't play any of the Justin Jones, Jalen Johnson part of the press conference, but if you listened and read between the lines when Jalen Johnson was talking, he talked about how prepared and efficient this coaching staff was. And to me, that says everything about Nagy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was none of that with Nagy. I mean, and Nagy liked to talk a good game about how, he would hold players to a high standard. This coach actually does it.
Yeah.
It's
a good point. And let me play some of that. I've got actually Jalen Johnson and Justin Jones talking about that. The question began towards Jalen Johnson is whether you've noticed what changes as he's noticed from last year's coaching staff.
It really kind of takes it back to the fundamentals, really just playing football hard, playing football the right way. And I feel like they established a good sense of tough-nosed football. And I wouldn't say that our last staff didn't. I just think that their emphasis is a lot more. I feel like they're emphasizing really running to the ball. Like you guys know, we got to be in shape. We're going to be running a lot more. And it's everything's just emphasized differently. Everything is just being harped on. And I mean, the way that they count loafs, the way that they just hold us accountable is crazy compared to what we're used to, really. But I mean, I feel like it's all going to pay off. I feel like you can never be in too much shape. You can never be too physical. You can never play football hard enough. So I mean, I feel like it's all for good measure, for good purpose. But I mean, it's definitely going to be a challenge, and I feel like we're up for it.
Have either of you guys been called out in the film sessions for not going hard enough?
Oh, we all have.
Yeah,
I mean, if anybody said they haven't, they lying to y'all.
For sure.
What's that moment like when you're the guy that gets spotlighted?
I mean, you just gotta look in yourself and hold yourself accountable at first. You got to like, am I going as hard as I could on this play? Because in the game, like, you know, Jalen got to know that I'm gonna run my ass to the ball, you know, every time. Because if I ain't come on that backside and he cut back and they score a touchdown, that's on me. That ain't on him. You know what I'm saying? You got to know the help there. But you know, for him to have that confidence in me, you got to see it in practice. You know, you can't assume that's gonna happen in the game if you ain't seen it all training camp, all, you know, OTA. So that's the reason why, you know, everybody's holding each other accountable right now, because in the game you just have to know your teammate's gonna be there. To have that trust, you know what I'm saying, in the guys, you have to know it's gonna be there, and that's why it's so important that, you know, that they're holding us accountable. That's why it's so important that, you know, everybody's running to the ball. We're making sure that even if it's the slightest loaf, you know, that's why they're on it so hard, just for that reason. Because if you can play, you know, knowing that you got the trust and belief in your teammates, you can play free. You know what I'm saying? You can take more shots knowing that you're going to be covered up by your teammates, and that's the importance of it.
How great is that, right, Tush? That's exactly what you were talking about.
All shots at Matt Nagy. in my opinion, you know, it's like he kind of like, well, I don't want to piss off. I'm friendly with those guys, but you know, this staff is way better. You know, that's the way I that's all I could think about when he was talking about that. Like, you know, there's a more accountability. There's a higher standard. There's more attention to detail. You know, it's you know, the team last year under Nagy, man, without attention to detail, you get these ill-timed penalties, you know, what false starts, lack of concentration, turnovers, and like Dan Aguirre always likes to point out, late game collapses, right? You know, that's all just coaching and details.
Or the Nagy thing was to come out flat too, always.
Oh,
yeah.
Hated that. Yeah, but I love both of those guys talking about the new culture and picking it up. And as Berlissimo pointing out that Jalen Johnson said that, you know, anyone who says they haven't been openly criticized for loafing is lying. That's just too fucking awesome for a team that we saw at times just fall asleep when the ball was laying on the ground, and particularly in big moments of a game. So frustrating. Chris, you were going to say something. I interrupted.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I noticed from when we had Nagy as the coaches, and also the overall coaching staff, is that they never seem to improve many players. You know, you didn't seem to coach players up. I mean, I understand last year they were like, you know, fighting for their own jobs. So that you know, they probably weren't thinking about development of players. But I can't really think of a player when we had Nagy that I thought, wow, he's really improved him. He's been coached up really well.
I agree.
Yeah. Go ahead, agree some more.
No, I agree. Even the guys that I wanted them to retain, like Nichols, you know, look what's happened with him in Oakland or Las Vegas, I guess. And
well, he's on the PUP list, which doesn't mean that he's out for the season, right? But
right, but it's kind of like maybe that's why we let him go. Maybe they knew something that we didn't. Same thing with Eddie Goldman, you know, just his heart seemed to be gone. We can make that Rocky III connection again. He lost the eye of the tiger, man, when he set that season out.
Yep.
He needed Apollo to take him to LA and teach him to train differently.
Get running on the beach.
Yeah.
Hey, well, I
That's
guess
the most erotic scene ever, right?
Really. I guess all of you guys have seen the orange helmets, right? So let's
I like it.
Yeah, Dan, I knew you'd love it. I knew you'd love it.
I like the orange jersey too.
But would you rather they wore this orange one or the black one with the white C?
I mean, I'm not opposed to that either. I mean, that's still a version of the same helmet. I think they're just changing they could use the navy helmet and put the white C on it versus the orange, that's manageable is what I'm saying without breaking the 2 helmet rule, which used to just be the 1 helmet rule, because a couple of years ago, Tampa Bay was trying to wear that old orange, their 70s, 80s, early 90s uniform. And they told them they couldn't do it because they had to switch their helmet. But they've just changed that rule within the last 2 years or so. So I like it. It's only going to be for 2 games. I like it better than the one that we have where it looks like Michigan's helmet.
Oh my gosh, yes.
The 1936 helmet. I hope they don't wear those uniforms anymore. I kind of don't dig those.
Chris, you got a preference in uniforms?
Well, my overall preference is that I wish we'd played all white again, because I just think it just looked cool. I really like them uniforms. But regarding the orange helmet, I'm not a big fan of the orange kit overall. To be honest with you, I don't like it. But I quite like the 1938 uniform. Yeah, I'm not too much of a fan of the helmet design, but yeah, it's like you said, Dan. I mean, they're only wearing it for two games, and at least it is something different because they haven't changed the helmet logo or anything for a long time. So yeah, overall, I'm not too happy because I don't like the orange that much. But at least we got a bit of a change anyway, and people will buy them anyway, so they'll make the money on the merchandise.
Would any of you guys buy an orange helmet? Because Greg Gabriel and I were talking about that. It's like helmets aren't something that I'm going to buy. It's like a couple $100. And so if I was going to buy a helmet, I would buy probably the black one with the white lettering if that was available, or go with another one of the traditional looks as opposed to the orange. And I'm not saying that I dislike this helmet. I think it's very attractive. I wish it didn't remind me of the Cleveland Browns uniform. They actually trolled us on social media, and that really pissed me off because I hate Cleveland. Now that Dan and I went to that shellacking of the Cleveland, and then he tells me he was disappointed at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Fuck Cleveland.
It does not rock.
It does not rock.
That guy said that. What's his name? He's on Price is Right now. He had the fucking
Carey.
Yeah,
No.
Drew Carey. The first Browns game, because remember they moved to Baltimore,
right?
So for 96, 7, 8, the Cleveland didn't have a team, and then they came back in 99. And their opening night, he came out and was like, "Cleveland rocks." Drew Carey, it doesn't rock. I don't want to go back to Cleveland. Actually, I'm going back to Cleveland for 9 Inch Nails. What am I talking about? I am going back to Cleveland, September 24th.
Look at you,
Dan, can I just quickly ask what were the things what you disliked about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? What were the main things what sort of pissed you off?
A couple of things I didn't like about the Rock Hall is like there was no fluidity or no rhyme or reason. Like, for example, if you're at the Beatles display, I would expect to see something from that era beside them, but they had the Talking Heads beside them. Like, what the fuck? Right. They're not in alphabetical order. They're not separated with genres. You figure, again, if you're going to have the Beatles, maybe you'd have the Rolling Stones there, something like that. Yeah. You go, maybe the Doors, maybe you'd have them with like Hendrix and Janis Joplin, Jefferson Airplane. Yeah. You didn't have them with genres. There was no guide. Nobody walked through to tell you anything. There was no map to tell you where anything was. And like the Doors had like two little small, like, oh, they're in the Rock and Roll of Fame. Just two little like 8x10s, and Taylor Swift is like a full display. Taylor Swift isn't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they're like, oh, we depend on donations. Well, so if Taylor Swift just donates her shit, you hang it just because she's not even in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but yet Bob Dylan, whom I'm not a fan of, but still deserves a lot of credit, has virtually nothing. The Doors have virtually nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just so like hit and miss, and they didn't have the air conditioning on. It was fucking hot, and we had to wear our masks still then too. So I was sweating through my masks. They didn't have any air on.
Oh, that's a shame, because I mean, I thought they would have done it by started it, for the 1950s, and it would have just gone, through the years. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And like you say, then you had, the Beatles and the Stones all in one area. But I'm not a massive fan of Hall of Fame, to be honest with you. I don't think rock and roll music's about that, to be honest with you. But I just thought I'd ask it. I know I diverged you off a little bit. Sorry about that.
The NFL Hall of Fame, I've only gone once, but the NFL Hall of Fame was pretty fucking awesome.
Oh, right.
So
yeah.
I liked it, but the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was pretty fucking disappointing.
Right.
When you set up a museum like that, you got to tell a story. You got to figure out the layout and tell a story. When it was just thrown around like that, yeah, you don't even appreciate the artifacts because you're still trying to figure out why is
what
this.
They are.
Yeah. So kind of weird. All right, I wanted to share with you guys the artist renderings of the proposed dome over Soldier Field that Mayor Lightfoot has quickly tried to put something together to impress the Chicago Bears and their fans. I want to know from you guys, honest opinion, are you impressed at all by this look? Kind of a glass dome look with a cheap looking video oval scoreboard or video board above the field, and probably a lot more suites, a glass partition or wall looking out onto the skyline. What are you guys thinking about this?
First off, if they would stay at Soldier Field, can you please bring the colonnades back in? Even if it is a dome, I want the colonnades surrounding both sides of the stadium. And as a Bears fan, if you're going to bring a dome, I hope it's retractable because I want the Bears to be outside in snow games and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Like if you've got a warm weather team coming here, I know San Francisco beat us 28-3 in the championship game, but in theory that when it's below zero and you've got a finesse warm weather team coming in, that should be an advantage. But I don't want to mitigate that by having it in a dome 24/7. And all this feels for naught anyway, unless I misinterpreted what was said. I think that the Bears management told everyone that they can't negotiate with anybody else, period, while this thing with Arlington Heights is in progress. Like they literally can't talk to anybody else, even if they wanted to, during the escrow period before they close on the land. Did I make this up? I'm pretty sure I heard them say that.
I have not heard that. I don't know if you guys have, Tooch or Chris.
No, I've not heard anything like that. No.
I thought he said it in the press conference a few weeks ago.
You could be right, mate. You could
Dan's
be right,
right.
Dan. That.
The Bears issued a press release that said they can't comment on anything else while the negotiations are going on with Arlington Heights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they were precluded from even entertaining the idea, even if they're like, "Oh, this is great, let's listen." In theory, they can't because they've tried to purchase this land and they have to go through a couple of hula hoops. George said it would take like a year, or maybe it was Ted Phillips that said it'd be like a year before they could even close on it because of all the red tape, so to speak. So they can't really respond to this at all. And it's like the mayor has to know that. So maybe it's just to get good press on her side or the city side whenever the Bears do make the announcement that they're going to leave in two or 3 years, whatever that might be. Not when they leave, but when they make the announcement that they're going to leave, they're going to be like, well, we did everything we could. We tried to design this fucking dome and they just left. I think it's just to save face from the city, unless I'm wrong.
No, I think you're 100% correct on that.
Yep.
And I agree with Adeptus here. He said that 3D render is shit. If you were going to do something like that, which they did, they should have paid for an outstanding video 3D rendering to show the concourses, to show the traffic flow, to really make it fucking convincing that going to a Bears game at the new Soldier Field would be attractive. These fucking artist renderings that could have been done by a college student who had just entered, architecture class or something like that. This doesn't look that appealing to me. I mean, they should have just spent a couple $100,000 on doing an outstanding 3D rendering. I don't know if you guys ever saw when the Dallas Cowboys were on Hard Knocks at the opening of no, not the Dallas Cowboys. Was it the Raiders when they were on Hard Knocks? And they opened the first episode with this 3D rendering of the camera going through the locker rooms, out to the field, out to the suites, and just showing a fantastic look of every phase of the new stadium. That's what Mayor Lightfoot and her team of idiots should have done to make it more appealing to the Bears management and Bears fans about staying at Soldier Field. That to me is a big time failure by the mayor and her team.
They're like a year late. It's like Lance Briggs said, it's too little, too late.
That's a great point too. They should have been talking about this years ago. They knew that the Bears would eventually want to. And by the way, interrupting myself, I think that the Bears are doing this Arlington thing because they want to sell the team. And they know that it's just going to be a much more. I think Tucci was saying this before we rolled. We went live.
Yep.
It would just be much more attractive, a state-of-the-art stadium in Arlington Heights with hotels and shops.
they'll own it.
Yeah, exactly. So this has to do, I think, with the fact that the team is getting ready for the post-Virginia era where they're going to make monumental changes. One of them, which will be probably the selling of the team.
The stadium situation is so Bears, Aldo. It's so Bears. Okay, the first stadium was like, we got to save the colonnades because a bunch of meathead fans like colonnades.
Yes.
It's like, and they dropped this freaking Lightfoot spaceship in the middle of it. I'm just
And then
saying.
put the colonnades outside.
And then they put the colonnades outside. It's like it was done wrong. It's like the Bears do all these things. They always do things wrong. It's like at the time it might seem like a great idea, but looking back, I'm like, God, that's fucking stupid. It's the smallest stadium in the NFL. The Bears don't get. It was a shitty deal from the Bears. Excuse me for the language, but they don't.
You can cuss on this show. Fuck.
They don't get all
you swear.
they don't get all the revenue from concessions. They never have.
Yeah.
Right. They never have got this in Arlington Heights. They can own everything. They can even get a percentage of the casino revenue if they build a casino. Why would you stay? There's no. You could build a state-of-the-art fan experience. It's got its own freaking train stop.
And what's more, like I said last week, San Francisco plays in Santa Clara, which is roughly 30 miles outside of San Francisco, just like Arlington Heights is to Chicago. The Giants and the Jets don't even play in New York. And they're in New Jersey, and they're still called it's not unprecedented for the team to not be in the city that they're identifying with, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But the other thing that, the concession stand, there's two things that bother me about going to Soldier Field is getting out. You're all funneled into small corridors, and it's people shoulder to shoulder. It's hellacious to get out, especially if you've gone to a cold weather game. The other thing is, you want to grab a hot dog and a beer, you're going to go out into the concession area. The corridors there are so fucking narrow that, again, it's people shoulder to shoulder. You don't know where the line begins. If you want to look around for different foods and stuff, it'll take you 10 minutes to go from one concession stand to the other because of the crowds. It's a mess. And so these renderings should have shown, when I went to Petco Park recently to see the Giants and Padres play. That was one of the things that caught my eye. It's like I feel like hanging out in the concession stand area because there were so many great shops to shop stuff for, to shop for food and stuff. It was pleasant. Chicago doesn't have that. Poor Dan Aguirre. We were trying to find the retail shop where
for the White Fields jersey.
Yeah, and couldn't fucking find it because the layout at this old Soldier Field is so fucked up.
And every little small shop that wasn't the Bears Pro Shop, but just like a little, they just had the Navy one, and like they were selling the Bears 1936 Fields jersey. I just want the standard away jersey. I ended up having to buy it at an NFL shop.
Although it's the only stadium in the NFL that was bad from the minute it opened.
Yeah,
you know, it was bad. It looked terrible aesthetically, and the whole situation inside, as far as like traffic flow and bathrooms and concessions, was bad.
Yeah,
it's the only stadium that was bad. It was too small. Right. The Bears had got a crap deal with the Park District. It was no wonder they want to leave. They don't want to hear anything from the city of Chicago.
Well, the alternative would be playing all your games on the road like they did in 2002 in Champaign. That was awful. Everybody was hurt. It was just one of the worst Bears seasons ever, 2002.
Yes. Wait, Chris, were you a fan back in 2000?
I mean, one thing sorry.
I was asking you, Chris.
Sorry.
Were you a fan back in 2002, Chris?
I've been a fan since 1986.
So
yeah, definitely, mate. But the one thing, what annoys me about Soldier Field is the state of the playing surface. I think it's like I've seen better playing surfaces on like a school field back over here. And if I were a player, I would particularly happy playing on some of the pitches. The I think it's terrible.
Yeah. It's a mess, and really both sides are to blame. It's Chicago not having a proactive approach towards modernizing that place, and doing the math, because the math has been done before. When I was doing reporting for Channel 2 News here in Chicago, they were contemplating building a dome stadium in the lakefront that would be part of McCormick Place and where they have trade shows and so forth. And they did the business sense. They said that we can bring in these big, massive trade shows and big spiritual awakenings where they need an indoor stadium for 80,000 people. That was all going to be money. The stadium could make money throughout the year, just like all these other mammoth stadiums do. The Lucas Field in Indianapolis is just not open for football and the combine. They hold concerts there. They have the Southern Baptist League with their 70,000 people membership. They hold their conventions there and stuff. And so this was all talked about decades ago by the Chicago Bears, but they never followed through on it. The city never followed through on it. They're both to blame, in my opinion.
You recall back in the early 90s, they were trying to go to Gary, Indiana.
Yeah. It was very true.
There was a place they were looking at south of McCormick Place, Aldo, if you remember back, to build a stadium, and leave Soldier Field alone, and then build a new state-of-the-art dome, which I think that's what the Bears wanted. I don't know why they were talked, they for whatever reason they were talked into keeping, Soldier Field. But
I will be like penis envy if the Packers have an outdoor stadium and us in Detroit and Minnesota are all in domes. If it's the NFC fucking Central or the North now. We're supposed to be cold weather. I want the Bears to at least have a retractable dome.
Yeah, they'll do a retractable.
So Dan, you definitely want the roof open, and when it's cold, like a cold weather game, you want to try and keep that sort of home.
Yeah, I think that is an advantage. I mean, the opposite certainly is an advantage. You remember, like when the Bears went to Miami in Nagy's first season, and it was like 112 degrees on the field with the heat index. So, I mean, the reverse is affects teams, and if they come to cold weather and they're not used to it, that affects them too. We've seen it before. Michael Vick and Jared Goff a few years ago when he was a member of the Rams, and he just didn't want to be there.
Mm-hmm. Nomad just said that whatever they do in Arlington, I hope they factor in the tailgating culture. People love that. I totally agree with you, Nomad. And, if they can also think of ideas to prioritize that. I mean, to monetize that, which I mean by that is I would love to tailgate. I don't particularly want to do the cooking. So if they got shops there where we could get barbecue, hot dogs, hamburgers, and Chicago-style Maxwell Street pork chops and stuff, that would be great. And they can make some money out of that. So there's lots of cool ideas out there. Whatever the Bears do, I hope they do it right. That they finally get it right, because as Tooch has said, we've lived through so many disappointments, particularly in Chicago with stadiums. When the White Sox opened their first stadium, that was considered a big white elephant. They had to redo the grandstands because they were so steep that people were complaining of vertigo. Yeah, and there was a couple of shootings. It was built across the street from housing projects, and people were shooting from the housing projects, and they found bullet holes in the seats while it was under construction. So it got off to a terrible start. Now it's not as bad as it was, but yeah, between that and brick falling on the top of heads of people at Wrigley Field because it was falling apart, between Michael Jordan complaining about the visual line at the United Center, that it was not like the Chicago Stadium. The Chicago sports have had their problems with venues for a long fucking time. Hey, Dan, how much time do we have you?
I got about 10 minutes.
Okay, it's all yours. What do you want to talk about?
I got NFL Plus. I don't know if you all saw that. They're charging
You
$5.
already got it?
What is it?
It's $5 a month, and essentially for me, because I don't want to get I don't like to stream games, and I hope that the Sunday Ticket, again, we don't know for sure, but next season in 23 could be streaming only. But there's still articles saying that whomever wins may sell a portion to DirecTV for regular old school TV, which is what I want. But the point is, if I have NFL Plus, then I can get all the Amazon games on my phone and not have to subscribe to Amazon Prime. I get the Monday night games, the Sunday night games, my local games, and all the preseason games. And they've got some old stuff on there that they don't have all the Super Bowls, which everything they have, I have too. But still, it's cool. I could just be sitting at work and say, well, fuck, let me fire up Super Bowl 8. And if I wanted to. And it's $5 a month. So, yeah, it launched on Monday. I've already bought it. So if you get it now, it's like $30 for the whole year if you want to go that route. But I don't know. I might end up canceling it after the season, after January. So I decided to keep the $5 a month for it.
Adeptus is asking you if the UI is good. That he hasn't fucked with it yet. The UI, what does that mean? Interface?
User interface.
Interface. Have you fucked around with it yet? Dan?
Yeah, I didn't love it, and I don't know. I don't think there's a specific app for it other than just the NFL app. I'd like for it to just be Plus on its own app, because I'm afraid with all that traffic on the NFL app, it's going to crash during games. Oh, another thing you get, let's say I'm out of town, obviously, but I want to hear Tom Thayer. I can select which audio broadcast I'd like to hear too during the games, which I get the games on Sirius if I wanted as well, but I may end up canceling Sirius as well. I don't know, but it's $5 a month, and it gets me all the preseason games live, which again, if I don't live in Chicago, those are hard to get for me.
Art by Nike
NFL Network or something.
Art by Nike is asking, can you watch the all 22 like you do on NFL Game Pass?
There's different layers to it.
Right.
You can pay more to get the coach's film and the all 22 stuff. I'm not going to sit here and tell you and break down tape and shit. I mean, that's just not who I am. I'm a fan. I'm not John Madden. So I'm just a fan, and I'm happy recording the game, watching the game, watching it back and stuff like that. But I'm not going to sit here and be a coach. That's not my thing. So, for me, the $5 tier is perfect, but there is another tier. I forget how much it was for you to get access to that other stuff, which it wasn't that much more.
Adeptus says it's $10 a month for the all 22.
See, it's affordable. It's a good deal,
Yeah. What else you got, Dan?
Well, that's put me on the spot. But, Westworld is finally coming together here in season 4. At first, I kept falling asleep on it and thought it was okay, but it was like incoherent. And I don't want to give any spoilers if you all haven't caught up, being Aldo and Tooch, but season 4, which I believe is going to be the last from what I heard, is actually coming together nicely now that I've gotten through 5 episodes.
I'm behind, but I had the same experience as you, where I was falling asleep, then I rewatch it, and kind of get into it. So I'll probably get back into it this week. I was out of town this weekend.
By episode 5, it was really, really coming together and making a lot of sense. But I don't want to provide any spoilers.
Watch it. I stopped watching in the middle of season 2. I don't think I'm going to go back.
Season 2 was awesome. I thought 3. A lot of people criticized 3, but I still dug 3 as well. I love 2, but 4 is okay. It's clearly running out of gas. But the only spoiler I'll give you now, Aldo, in case you said you're not going to watch it, but in the future, whatever year this is, Charlotte Hale has managed to make the people controlled by the robots. So it's flipped. She created a virus, and they can control the humans in the real world. So, yeah, that's where we are now on the show.
All right, well, I like it when hopefully when season 4 ends, if they're not bringing it back, hopefully the storytellers know that and will give a good resolution to the entire series. I hate watching these episodic series and then all of a sudden it's canceled and you're left thinking, well,
hanging, right?
Yeah, there's no ending. What the fuck? What did I just do with my life?
There was a show on Showtime. It had Jeff Daniels in it. I think I talked about it with you back when it aired. Called it's something Rust, American Rust.
Yeah,
and it's fairly good. It's dark. It's right on the West Virginia Pennsylvania border. So like I relate to like all this shit, like because the drug abuse and all this stuff, and the people not really having anything to do, and all these things. But the show was good, and it left with the cliffhanger, and then Showtime canceled it. But it just got picked up by somebody else, maybe Amazon or Paramount. Somebody else just picked it up like 6 months after it was canceled.
Yeah, that's one of the worst feelings, man. You've dedicated a couple of seasons towards watching the show or more, and you're not given a satisfying conclusion just simply because some bean counter said, "Yeah, let's dump it." Anything else, Dan, before you go? I know you got 3 minutes left.
Yeah, HBO had a show back in 2016. I think you said you watched it, and like Jagger was one of the producers too, called Vinyl.
Yeah.
It was set in the early 70s.
Yes.
I really dug the show, and HBO re-upped it for a second season, but then a new president of the company came on and then canceled it.
Yeah.
He said the ratings weren't worth the money that they were putting up to actually finance it. And I really liked that first season.
Yeah,
so it's so disappointing. Black Mondays. I love Black Monday. Somebody Nomad says it's gone too. 3 seasons on Showtime. It's been canceled.
Which one was Black Monday? I don't
with
remember.
Don Cheadle.
Oh yeah.
It was so fucking funny. The first season was set in 86, leading up to the stock market crash of 87, which is where Black Monday comes from. Then the second season, it was still, they were like, hey, I got this new Nintendo system, all these like 80s retro like references and things. The third season, I think it's in the early 90s. It kind of doesn't have any of that shit in it. It's just that it happens to be old school, but it doesn't hammer it with references and songs and things like that. It's just like any other show. But I liked it. I think it's been canceled though. So.
Yeah, I'm at a stage now in my life where there's just way too many fucking things to pick from and choose, and I'm almost craving the old days where I just had ABC, NBC, CBS, and a UHF station and PBS.
Football can't come soon enough.
You ain't kidding me.
That's the last thing I'll say. Good. It's good that you're back, Aldo. Tooch, love you as always. Chris, great to meet you.
Yeah, Danny.
Even though it's
awesome,
not
mate.
Real life, but it's still sort of, whatever. But again, I told you last night, Aldo, just been under pressure and shit, and just been down and things. I'm not trying to all pour you, but I'm just saying that's the power of football. Is you feel like things are going bad and you're not happy with things, whatever, and then we start this talk. 3 hours and 15 minutes later, and it's just, or whatever it's been. I think we went on 8:45, so less than 3 hours, approximately 3 hours, and I'm already I'm happy again. So I'm saying, like, so we're not even watching a game; we're just talking about it.
Yes,
that's the power of the Bears for me, man. Like even when they suck and I'm frustrated and I'm down when they lose, it's it's something that picks you up. I can't explain it. Maybe it's like a drug abuser when they get high. I can't really relate to any other aspect of, but I am obsessed with this team.
Could you relate to it if like the Bears are pussy?
Man, yeah, I've enjoyed my I've been lucky enough to enjoy crawling on my share of women, that's for sure.
Of course, we know that you like, cunnilingus. So,
yes.
I'm picturing you doing something like that with the Bears.
I'll take it.
All right, brother. We'll let you get out of here and go save some lives. All right.
All right, you gentlemen. Hopefully next week I'll be back and not dead on a Pittsburgh trip.
Good night, Danny.
Trip on Friday. But no, see, I get off at 8 o'clock in the morning. Go ahead. Sorry.
So I was just going to say, Dan, that I know you got to get off. Like, it's just been a fucking honor to talk to you, man. Been listening to you. It's not only your football knowledge and how you can sort of bring back all these details. It's of Bear games. It's who you are. Like you've come over. Like you told stuff about your own personal life, and that's the part I love about our network is that it ain't just the football talk. It's getting to know the people who are talking about the football. So yeah, mate, it's just been an absolute pleasure and an honor to talk to you, man.
Pleasure's all mine. I completely agree with you, and I thank you. Last thing I was going to say is I got off work at 8 that morning and then have to leave for Pittsburgh at 10 a.m. with virtually no sleep. So that's why I was joking, saying like, I hope I don't die, but I hope I don't die.
Don't die, mate. For God's sake.
But you all be well. It's been my pleasure talking with you.
Good night, Danny.
Yeah, same here.
Good night.
Same here.
Yes, sir.
He is Dan Aguirre, the one and only Dan Aguirre. We love him in so many different ways. Guys, why don't we go another 15, 20 minutes and
cool, yeah.
Address some questions or anything that you want to bring up. Start with you, Chris. Anything on your mind that you want to talk about, whether it's the Bears or something you've seen on movies or TV, anything?
No, I'm not a massive TV movie guy really, because you're about watching all these series or seasons. I just can't. I'm such a lazy person that I just can't give the commitment to all these big, these series is what go on for like 20 shows. It's far too much commitment for me. But I've always wanted to know, is it really, really hard to get hold of a Bear season ticket? Is it like something what's like passed down through families, so it's impossible for like the average guy to get hold of a ticket?
I think it's becoming easier. I still think there's a waiting list.
Right.
Jumping off this waiting list, and I assume that if that's part of the reason why I think the Chicago Bears have been making noise with changes and who's running the team, but also there's all this talk about Arlington Heights. They're just trying to re-inspire fans to get back on the Bears bandwagon. So once this new stadium is up, and I have no doubt that this Arlington Heights deal is going to work out, and they will be building a 70,000 plus stadium. There's going to be plenty of seats available. You just have to be loaded. They got this fucking shit called PSIs now, where you got to pay like $10,000. You own the seat, but that doesn't pay for your season tickets. That doesn't pay for anything. You own the seat. What the fuck is that? So
you see, you're basically paying for it twice, aren't you? Really, you're paying for that seat twice over.
Yep, it's because the demand is so high that you can sell these PSIs. It's just another way of taxing Bears fans for their love. You guys have a VAT, value added tax.
Yes.
And so I think it's something akin to that, if I understand VAT properly.
Isn't it amazing that $2.2 billion won't keep the Bears in town in Chicago?
Wow.
That's the story right now, that the city of Chicago proposed this $2.2 billion. The Bears just kind of like, we can't comment.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And let's face it, the only reason they're at Soldier Field is because Virginia wanted to keep the George Hallas, her father's team, in Chicago, because Mr. Hallas said that, we'll never play outside of Chicago. well, times change. I think there's a reason why we saw her at these road trips over the last couple of seasons, where we saw her in LA and at that new stadium. We saw her in Vegas at that new stadium. I think they were saying, Mom, look at how cool this is. And if we had one like this, we can make a hell of a lot of money. So I think they've been working on Mrs. McCaskey for this move. I think it's really going to happen.
Yeah.
Tooch, what do you got on your mind, man? Have you seen anything that you want to share with us?
Yeah. I love a good sports movie. And recently I saw one that was on Amazon Prime. It's like an exclusive there. It's called The Prize Fighter. The Jem Belcher story, and it's about the beginnings of the sport of boxing in England. So Chris would probably get a kick out of it. It's got a good cast with Russell Crowe, Ray Winstone. Don't know if you know who he is.
Oh yeah,
great actor.
All the Englishmen know each other's.
Yeah, and
sorry, Tim.
It takes place in Victorian England, the early part of the 19th century, and there's a young boy who's raised by his mom and his grandfather. His grandfather's Russell Crowe, who kind of teaches him the sport of boxing. And before Russell Crowe's father was also like one of the best fighters, but there was no real organized sport. They used to just fight on lords' estates back in 200-300 years ago. So but the boy grows up, he works as a blacksmith, and the actor's a new up and coming kid who wrote the story. His name's Matt Hookings. He was really good, man. It's good, man. It's got great boxing action and a great story. He becomes the champion of England. It's the whole start of the thing when they start to organize the sport. They put gloves on and stuff like that. And it's got to have, rules and stuff, because before it was just kind of, disorganized, gambling on this and that. But, Russell Crowe comes in, chews up the scenery. Then you have Ray Winstone plays his trainer, so I know we were talking about the Rocky movies earlier. So it made me remember that I just watched this movie, but I recommend it's called The Prize Fighter. It's on Amazon Prime. Just came out.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. It sounds really interesting, that does, Tooch. Really interesting.
Aldo would like it too, man. I'm telling you.
I definitely will check that out. What Scott says, there's a movie on Amazon Prime about a former Chicago Blackhawk player, former Detroit Red Wing, Bob Probert. It's called Tough Guy. Let me see here.
Yeah, he was a tough guy too, man.
Yeah, I've got the trailer. Let me let's take a peek at it. Let's see.
Probert on cocaine charges. Comes as a tremendous disappointment to the Red Wing officials. Found over 14 grams of cocaine.
I was drunk and I came across the border. When you hear it, it's like, no, not again.
He was Mr. Detroit, and it was almost like he can do anything in Detroit and get away with it.
First time I ever did coke, that was my first year pro.
That was a drug that was widely used in the NHL. That's pretty scary when you got a guy chasing you around on the ice that's doing cocaine.
I don't think I've ever seen him that messed up. It was crazy, like in crazy eyes.
You always seemed it was invincible, I guess.
Concussions, severe headaches, yeah, CTE.
You guys better be very careful, because that's a touchy subject right now.
There was two sides of Bob. He used to want to be on the wrong one. He used to be boy on the block, without a doubt.
We never knew what he was going to do. He would do crazy things. Like he had no qualms about hitting a goal.
Oh, he just got leveled by Probert.
None whatsoever.
Don't point at Probert because bad things happen to you. Isn't he a beauty?
I just grabbed him.
Nobody wanted to play against him.
A strip search followed. Inspectors say they found 14.3 grams of cocaine in Probert's underwear.
It was a train wreck. They're looking for Bob. They couldn't find Bob.
I have no sympathy at all for him.
I was kind of like getting out of control. It really hurt to see people I let down that still care about me.
Headline is Red Wings star misses key goal, staying sober.
None of the news was very good.
Then he decides to shoot himself up with steroids in September because now he's panicked about his job.
We just went harder than others. It had a lot to do with his personal disregard for his own physical well-being.
It was kind of like riding a bull. You better hold on. Like John Cherry said, when the fight was going on, you see anybody get out of the seats and go for coffee?
Okay.
Bye.
Well, that looks good. I'm in for that. Cocaine and hockey and broads.
Played on the Blackhawks for a while.
That's right. I think Mike North is good friends with him. Well, I'll have to ask
We'll have
Mike.
to get him on and talk a little bit about the movie, the
That would be
documentary.
great.
With Mike, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I want to interview Bob Probert while I'm doing cocaine.
I think if they did a film like that for LT, that'd be a really good film for Lawrence Taylor. If they did something like that, because man, I don't know how he played in some of the states what I've heard he was in. I couldn't imagine playing drunk or high in any sport, let alone football. But I'd love to see like a really good film about LT.
Man, the story. And I got to get Greg to share some more stories about that. I know he's sometimes a little bit hesitant to talk about certain things he knows about, but I bet you he's got some really good LT cocaine stories.
It's got to.
Oh, Lordy. Did I talk about Uncharted the last time I was on the show?
No. Is it good?
Yeah, it really is. Let me see if I can fish out the trailer to that. Tom Holland, who played Spider-Man, and Mark Wahlberg, they are it's a treasure hunt story. It's pretty basic. There's nothing new. It's a good old-fashioned treasure hunt story, but it's well done. Pretty good CGI. It's if you're in for a popcorn movie, I recommend Uncharted. Here's a clip.
We're just lost.
Hey, kid. A little young for a bartender, aren't you?
A little old for prom, aren't you?
Everything in here. Why the map?
This Arthur Ferdinand Magellan took the sail around the world.
You know your history.
It's the biggest treasure that's never been found.
5 billion easy. I think you're here because you're your brother.
Well, you know my brother, see?
If you find that gold, you find him too.
Who the hell is this? I'm a friend of Sully's. Sully doesn't have any friends. I should know him one of them.
You are a collector.
Well, I dabble.
I don't dabble. My family has been looking for this project for a very long time. So much blood.
I'm pretty sure he just threatened to kill me.
Don't touch your ear like that. You look like an idiot.
You have no idea how you partnered with me. I've been hearing about this stuff since I was a kid. My brother Sam left one final clue.
Guess I'll keep on living. Oh my God.
Suddenly I come out to play with a big boys meeting because you're about to get a proper Scottish welcome.
What?
Oh crap!
Exclusively in movie theaters.
I liked it. My wife and I saw it. It was a fun movie. It's not, you're not gonna fall asleep on it. That's for sure. You're not going to talk about the artistic patterns of this or that. No, it's a good old popcorn film. You like movies like that, Chris?
I do, yeah, but I'm a big Indiana Jones fan, so that sounds like something I would enjoy. I was just wondering if any of you guys have seen the new Elvis film yet.
No, my brother's been begging me to watch it because he is a huge Elvis fan. I have not seen it. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the director. He did Moulin Rouge, which I thought was a really fantastic film.
Baz Luhrmann.
Baz Luhrmann. That's his.
Baz Luhrmann.
Yes, indeed. He's done some other films. He's a very visual director, so I would like to see what he does with the Elvis story. But my brother loved it, and the music is supposedly great. How can you go wrong? Elvis music, right?
That's right, mate. I mean, it'd just be nice to hear it in the cinema as well with the music that loud. It'd be really. I remember seeing the Johnny Cash film Walk the Line, and obviously seen it in the cinema, and because the sounds that rich and loud, it was beautiful, especially when they were doing the songs. So yeah, I need to check the Elvis one out. Really, that's one film I do really want to see.
Tooch, you got that on your list of films to watch?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely on my list. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to get out to the theater to watch it. I haven't been to a movie theater in such a long time.
I haven't.
Yeah, I love going to the cinema. I love to see people's reactions to movies. I love to see them jump out of their seats during a scary part, laugh at the top of their lungs and during funny parts, and cry when they're supposed to cry. I love that experience and experiencing that with a crowd. But man, oh man, with I'm afraid now to get monkeypox. What the fuck?
Yeah, we got it over here. We got monkeypox over here, so I don't know where that was suddenly appeared from. Yeah, it was in the news about a month ago that this monkeypox had risen its head in Britain, so it must be popping up all over the world now or something.
Crazy. We can't get a break.
No way. And it looks horrible as well. When you see a picture of the person who's got it, it doesn't look a nice thing to have.
By the way, Zach Sullivan says one of the reasons he wants to watch the Elvis movie is because he too aspires to die on the shitter.
I nearly have a few times. I like jerking.
Hey, Chris, when I was looking through your photographs on your Facebook page to put together that open for the Barfly Tailgate show, noticed a couple of pictures where you're throwing the football. Have you ever played?
Yeah, well, that picture what you put on is actually when I was coaching about 10 years ago. But I played from the age of 14 up to 19. So when I first started playing, I was just 14, and I was playing against 19-year-old guys who, you're literally a full grown man, aren't you, when you're 19? So like the first sort of season I played, I used to just get the shit knocked out of me, but I used to always get up and carry on, and I got like the Player of the Year award, and then gradually we got better coaching, and I actually had a chance to go to an American college, but it probably would have been one of the lower divisions. But I bust right knee up, so I couldn't do it. And a couple of the other lads who played in my team actually ended up going over there. So I played 6 years, and I loved it, absolutely loved it. I played rugby, I played cricket, athletics. I was very sporty when I was younger, but I was absolutely obsessed with American football for about all the way through my teens. I had posters all over the walls, Walter Payton. We used to get like a weekly newspaper called First Down, what used to tell us all about the NFL, but also about the British game, because in the 80s, every city in town had at least one team. So there was quite a lot of money in the game in the mid to late 80s because we were sponsored by Pfizer and Coca-Cola. So a lot of like the bigger teams used to get like an American quarterback over and maybe a linebacker, and like the positions what can really up the skill level of the whole team. So absolutely obsessed with it, mate. I was obsessed with it for it would have like anything American as well. When we were younger in the 80s in Britain, anything American, we just loved it. We couldn't get enough of it. This is like movies, music, like stuff like BMXing and skateboarding and obviously football and anything American. We just loved it over here because it just made Britain look really drab and small and backwards thinking. And when you're like something from America, I know you're looking at it through a bit of a crystal lens. But you used to like see these like big and bright and loud, and do you know what I mean? Where our country just seemed to be a bit like, a bit beige and a bit boring. So anything American when I was younger, we just loved it. We couldn't get enough of it.
Have you were you ever disappointed that Americans weren't more attractive to soccer, what you folks call football? That the game hasn't caught on as much over here?
I mean, I'll be honest here. I've never been much of a. I can't say soccer just due to me being English. I have to call it like English football and then American football.
Yeah.
No, it's never bothered me because I've never really been. That was the only sport I've never really been into is English football. I used to go and see Leeds United when I used to get free tickets from work. That's our like local city club. But when I was younger, I used to find it the most boring sport to watch in the world was soccer. And it was just sort of like back in the 80s as well. I get maybe one game a week, and then we were still in the days where if somebody got injured, somebody used to run on with an old bucket, a sponge, and that like the height of medical science them days. So no, it's never really been an issue. Really, I've not really thought about it. I mean, I remember when they had the World Cup in '94 in America, and that just seemed to be really weird. But I mean, I don't watch any English football at all, so I'm quite happy. I'm quite happy that I've got my NFL and a bit of cricket, and I'm quite happy.
By the way, do you dispute this at all from RRR David 1? It was originally called soccer in the UK 100 years ago.
I do not know, but it could have been. I mean, the name must have come from somewhere, but we'd never call it soccer over. I mean, if I said soccer to one of my mates, I'd just take the piss out of me for ages. That I wouldn't end of it. We go, what soccer? No. What you like? You call that football? And they don't really kick the ball. And I've had them conversations for the last 30 odd years.
Yeah, I've been around some English people where the word soccer came up, and I was immediately reprimanded, or the person who said that. Yeah, that's some serious stuff. But our David 1 is saying he's holding to it. He says it was. Tooch, you ever watch English football, and do you like it?
Yeah, I love soccer or football.
Wow.
Love the Premier League. Like watching, what is the Europa and Champions League football as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I hate when I'm wagering on a game and the team that I bet on gets red carded, and then I'm screwed. But I do like the game. But I was wondering, Aldo, if we could talk about this.
Sure.
What the heck? This is a little pop cultural appropriation. Aldo. Strolling in like Nicolas Cage in Con Air. What the heck? He needs to just come out of the closet, Aldo.
Oh my gosh, I saw the video of him getting out of his car, and he's going like this with his hair, and it looked really homoerotic. And I think he was going for that look. I think he was purposely trying to turn on some of his teammates.
I meant to ask Dan when he thought Aaron would come out of the closet tonight.
Sorry, guys. Did he actually turn up to training looking like that? Is that how he turned up for minicamp?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, what an arsehole. What a fucking arsehole. I thought it was some sort of like a photo shoot. It was from like a terrible photo shoot for bad vests, and it he turned up for training like that. What an absolute arsehole.
Wouldn't we call that a knob?
Yeah, we call him a knob over here as well. Fucking knobhead.
I love it.
What a knob.
What a knob.
Guys, to close the show, I wanted to let people know that we were going to debut a new segment on the show, but I got the idea last night. I was smoking some marijuana, and I immediately texted the guys, "Hey, I got an idea for."
But Tooch had his ready to go though.
Tooch was the only one that followed through on it. I failed to do the opening animation graphic, and neither Dan nor myself actually picked the topic to talk about, except for Tooch. And so this is the premise. We're calling this segment, how are we calling it, Tooch?
Boned.
Oh, yeah. You got boned. So the idea is that every week we will pick somebody who got bones, who they got screwed somehow, some way. And so Tooch was not all over it. I'm gonna play that video that you sent me, Tooch.
Yeah.
You want to set it up?
Sure. Yeah, this is a Padres game the other night, and although you weren't at this one, but I think this was a couple nights after the game that you went to, and right. The batter's Manny Machado, the slugger for the Padres, probably their best player, and he checks his swing, gets hit by a pitch, and he thinks he's going to first. He's ready to go to first base.
Machado, according to the first base umpire, is going to be called out on a swing. That's Angel Hernandez down there.
You got boned.
He got boned on that call, man.
That, in essence, will be our segment.
Yep. Instead of getting a base, he struck out.
That's a perfect preview. You really nailed it. That is exactly what we want to do. And then during the NFL season, I think there's going to be so many great "you got boned" opportunities.
Oh,
so I can't wait.
It'll be like our version of "Come on, man." It's our version of that, isn't it?
Exactly. So Dan is going to work on doing some announcing of "you got boned."
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So we'll produce that and have it ready to go. Hopefully by next week's show, but definitely by the start of the football season, we'll get that squared away. Guys, I want to go around the table and final thoughts. Chris, you are our guest, and I'm so glad we finally had you on. Anyone you want to give a shout out to, or any words?
I'd like to give you guys a shout out straight away for letting me come on your show. As I say, it's like I've been like a long time viewer, first time caller, and I just want to say thanks for letting me be on the network, Aldo, because it's made a big difference to my life. I suffer from severe depression, and I live on my own, so I'm on my own a lot, and just having the show to sort of focus on, and also to getting to know you guys as people, that's my biggest shout out. Like I'm going to say, like until like we spoke today, I don't think I'd had a proper conversation with anybody for over a week, and so it's just been a really great for me to get excited about, and I've loved everybody I've met on the network. I'm not just saying that because if I don't like somebody, I'll tell you. I think if I think somebody's a knob, then they get told. But just thanks to Aldo, thanks to Tooch and Dan for letting me on the show, and everybody have a good week and respect each other. And I'll see you on the next tailgate show.
Absolutely, Chris. And my heart goes out with you. I've battled with depression too and anxiety. It's not fun. And so anytime you need somebody to talk to, you've got a bar room full of people here, starting with me. I'd love to chat up with you if you ever come to a point where
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. You got it, brother. Tooch, what do you got for me?
I'm just same old, waiting for football and college football, NFL football, college football, waiting to get back into wagering as you know, like baseball kicks my ass I sit baseball out. It's just impossible to wager on, Yeah. It's every year. It's the same thing, it's just too hard. You can handicap all you want with baseball, and like tonight, I love the Carlos Rodon and the Giants. I thought that would have been a pretty good bet. Boom, the Diamondbacks and their rookie pitcher took out Rodon, so it's like, and the Giants,
Wow.
But it's football's right around the corner. So
Yeah.
college basketball, I'm a huge college basketball fan. That's where I make most of my money.
Yeah.
And did well on NHL and soccer this year too. So, but football, I'll be looking forward to giving some tips for NFL wagering and college football wagering with my partner Anthony.
Very cool. Yeah, we still have to have a talk about that. By the way, Chris, you just got an invitation to go to West Wales and watch a Bears game with him.
All right.
He will.
All right, that sounds good. That sounds good to me. I'm up for that.
Nice.
Oh, I've had some many crazy nights out in Wales, so yeah, I'll check that out.
You could go from Whitby to Tembe.
Oh, wow.
Right?
That's right, yeah.
Love it. And make sure you catch Chris Watts on the Barfly Tailgate Show every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Central. They go for about 2 hours, and then the Fantasy Football Goon Show. That, of course, will get rearing regularly when the season starts. But I think have you guys talked about starting up Barfly Tailgate in the next week or two?
I haven't heard. I mean, I don't know if we're gonna. I think we might be starting when the preseason starts. I'm guessing. Okay. Obviously, I've got everything has to go through AC because obviously it's the AC show, isn't it? But yeah, as far as I'm aware, AC did mention around pre-season, but you can definitely smell footballs coming in the air, can't you? I've got that feeling like, when you're a little kid and it's just before Christmas and you sort of that little giddy feeling. That's how I'm feeling at the moment with the NFL just around the corner. So, yeah, that's it, yeah.
I love it. I love the way you described that. By the way, R.R. David, again, saying he's in Pembroke, right on the coast.
Is that South Wales or North Wales?
Oh, I couldn't really say, but I've been to it. I've been there once, and it's a really nice place, beautiful area.
Oh, it looks like the White Sox won a baseball game, Tooch, and unfortunately, you nor I had money on them.
No, I liked Kopech tonight though, but like I said, I'm not wagering on baseball anymore. So,
Aldo, just a quick question. One time you're wearing a T-shirt, it's an England on it. So have you actually been over here on holiday?
No, I have not. I've been to Europe,
right.
But that England T-shirt was a present to me. Stepdaughter. She was there for her final year of high school. They did European.
Oh, right, cool.
Went to London, went to Paris, and one other city, Madrid. She hit all three of those cities for a 2-week break after her senior year of high school, and I got the T-shirt. It was very nice of her. So, but I'd love to go there. It's always been on my bucket list, and my wife and I will definitely head over to England for a vacation. My wife, by the way, is going through a transition in her career. She just left her corporate job. She's got another 3-4 weeks off, and then she's opening up her own consulting business. So it's going to be nice to have her around the house more often.
Wow. Congratulations, Donna.
Yeah,
right?
It's a big move for her because
good work.
She's now her own boss. And so she's been working with a pharmaceutical company that their headquarters is in Japan. So she'd have to be in conference calls at 4:00 in the morning, 5:00 in the morning. And so those days are over with. And by the way, Chris, it's probably around 4:30 in the morning there where you're at right now, right?
5 a.m. now.
It is. Yeah, it's just turned 5.
Oh,
so basically, I'm just going to stay up. I'm just going to stay up now. I'm going to have some breakfast and a joint, and then I might go to bed.
I'm going to have dinner and a joint.
Nice.
Beans on toast.
Beans on toast.
That could be a good possibility, yeah.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. We got a full slate of programming tomorrow. Cliff, who is always live for the science fiction show. They are going to be on tomorrow at 9 p.m. Central. They're going to talk about Comic Con, their most recent Comic Con. They got a lot of news that came out of there, so that should be a really interesting show. I'm going to make sure to stop in and take a listen. They're doing that show all on their own now. I'm not directing for them, but I will be a participant and tune into that. Prior to that, we will have Bar Down Hockey Talk at 2 p.m. Central. And then at 7 p.m. Central, it's the Mac and Reed Show. Those guys always deliver the goods. So we've got a full slate of shows and much more to come. And during the football season, we're going to have new programming 6 out of the 7 days of the week. So there'll be a lot of fresh programming coming at you from the Barroom Network. So these guys are partly responsible for that too. Chris Watts, John Santucci, and Dan Aguirre, big roles with the Barroom and delivering this content to you guys. Hope you guys enjoy it and share it with others. Until next week, for Dan Aguirre, I'm Aldo Gandia. That's John Santucci. That's Chris Watts. Take care, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Dan and Aldo Bare Their Souls. Make sure you subscribe to the Barroom Network and you give us a rating on iTunes. Until next week, my name is Nomse. Bear down.